We're rolling.
Welcome back. Episode 40. How did we get to 40, Bo? How did we do this?
Holy cow. It's already 40?
Episode 40 of the Jiu Jitsu Dummies podcast, everyone. Sponsored
there.
by Fightback CBD. Get 20% off your CBD order at fightbackcbd.com with code JJD. If you don't know about Fightback, it's an interesting story. They help give back by helping people with mental health and substance abuse issues find jiu-jitsu, or really get therapy through jiu-jitsu. So it's a real interesting story. Check them out. Check out their Instagram. Again, it's at FightbackCBD on IG. I think it's kind of, they're really tackling some interesting issues. And I just really wanted to say that, you know, Justin's been with us from the beginning.
Yeah, man.
You know, I just think he's doing incredible things. So just wanted to add that to our intro here. My name is Milton Campus. I am a purple belt still at a Fight Sports Coral Springs. You can check me out on Instagram at Uncle Milty BJJ. Just me and Bo with you here today. Say hello to everyone, Bo.
I'm an invisible belt.
There you go. You're an
Yeah. 3 stripes.
We have to get you on the map, Bo. This is.
Hey, you know what I thought about, by the way, when I'm setting up the studio there?
Is it jiu-jitsu related?
Yeah, the other room. The other room.
Yeah.
We might be able to put a mat in there and do some stuff.
We have to shoot somewhere. Part of getting the new studio and the house.
Because I'm going to do artsy soundproofing in there, so it's like a proper, loungy kind of room. And we'll have a complete open floor.
You ain't got to tell me twice that we'll have a place to roll around.
There's a whole entire
videos.
floor there. It's 16 feet by 20 feet.
Oh.
So it's bigger than your
to
garage.
My ears. That'll be awesome. Because I already talked to my coach a while back about potentially doing some videos, doing some like tutorials, just regular like
just to throw them in there.
1-2 minute videos like on moves.
Yeah.
What I really like.
Well, you do a couple of moves and we cut to them in the edit.
What I really like. What I like to teach
on the computer
and show people as a purple belt, when I'm helping somebody, I like to give them the little tips and tricks to moves that they're learning. I don't want to be their coach and take away from what their coach is telling them.
Yeah, just improve the moves they already know.
Look, if you put your foot here, or especially with bigger guys, when I tell a bigger guy, look, if you do it this way, look how much easier it is because of our body type. Right? So I like to do stuff like that. So I've always envisioned our tips videos being like that. Like, listen, there's a million videos.
I'm not going to teach you how to walk. I'm going to teach you how to walk better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm not, there's a million videos telling you how to do takedowns and different types of moves. My coach is awesome at the lockdown. Some people know it's the electric chair. But like the littlest tips are the things that I like to pick up that I go, it makes my game just a little bit better. Mm-hmm. So those are the things that I like to impart on people. So I've always envisioned our videos being that. So I think that might be really cool.
Yeah.
Good to know. I didn't know. That's the first time you
told
me that space.
Yeah, my gears have been going. How do we take this and optimize the space we have?
Okay. Joining us in a few minutes is going to be TJ Kreutzer from the We Defy Foundation.
When was the last time he was here?
Episode 17.
Cool.
Goes back.
That's right.
Wow, right? Yeah.
Holy cow, dude. It's 23 episodes back. It's not even like 8 episodes or 10. 23. That's half of our lifetime so far.
May? Is it May? May was 2 years. Last May was 2 years. Last May was 2 years.
Last May was 2 years?
Is it 2 years or this May coming is 2 years?
This May
coming is 2 years. I'm sorry.
Last year was 1 year, yeah.
Yeah. It was 19, 20, 21. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Crazy.
Wow, time flies.
Right?
Holy cow.
Interesting journey.
And the longest year of our lives. Yeah. Just like now seems like yesterday.
Yes, TJ was on episode 17. Not only is he a jiu-jitsu purple belt now, but interesting little fact, and hopefully we'll touch on it. He was a fighter pilot. He was an F-16 fighter pilot.
And I know it's bad. Envy is bad, but I have lots of it.
Yeah.
Because I told you, we went through this last time.
I can see you're a race car guy. I can
imagine
that goes
you
wanting the speed of an F-16.
So when I was a kid,
F-16.
I told you I took the test for Navy and Air Force, and really? I would have gotten in as a code matcher. Yeah. Because I was really good at code matching, and which meant I would have had a long stretch before I would fly. Yeah. Of like academy, and then technician, and all this before I could actually get into a trainer, and then 2 years in a trainer. Then, if I was good enough, I could become an officer and become a pilot, get my own jet with my name on it. That's the coolest part is you get your freaking name on your jet.
So you were good at putting code together. You said.
Yeah, code matching.
What do you mean code matching?
So you're given this like multiple. You're given this like 5 rows of codes, like 6-digit codes, and you have like no time. You have 5 minutes to match codes.
Okay.
And I had like matched like 15 minutes worth of codes in 5 minutes. Like I was just like, I could spot codes very easily.
A bit of a loaded question.
Uh-oh. Is that like a loaded potato skin?
It's a little bit of a loaded question because that your type of brain and why I keep on telling you should jiu-jitsu.
Patterns.
Jiu-jitsu.
Patterns. I'm very good at seeing patterns.
Patterns. What's
Matching.
Next? Like knowing if I do this now, 5 moves down the road, I'm going to be doing this.
That's why I was good at instructing for autocross.
And telling you, I know your brain. We've known each other for a long time now. You've got to try some jiu-jitsu. And the only reason that you're far away, so I haven't invited you to my gym because you wouldn't be able to really go to my
when
gym.
we go do Miami.
But when we have a mat, we're in the studio, or we can get you to a place where we can roll around for a little bit. Just playing around a little bit and showing you some stuff.
I'm going to need a gi.
We'll get you one. We'll get you one. Don't worry. I have one that my wife never uses that you'd probably fit into.
Oh, nice. Great. So my ass will look fantastic.
Okay, listen, we're also sponsored by Technique.io, TEKNEEK.io. I always say think Cameo for martial artists, but it's gone light years beyond where it started. They're actually doing lots of different things now. So many people ask them, like, hey, I could use that for this industry. I could review videos and
we were
use
saying
that
that
for
when
here.
we first came
It's
on,
completely evolved.
Yep.
As it stands right now, they still have pros in the jiu-jitsu world and the MMA world doing reviews. So you can upload your video and request a feedback or review from a pro. So pros include Robert Drysdale. We've mentioned him more than once. Elliot Marshall. He's a former UFC fighter. Aaron Hurley, who was on a recent episode. We're on there as well. The Jiu Jitsu Dummies is on there. If you feel like you have the chops to review videos, reach out to Alex at Technique.io on Instagram as well. Let him know that the Dummies sent you. If you choose the Dummies, we're going to probably give you a little bit of a funny take on the video. We were going to do a review at the end of this episode, but Drew's not here. I wanted Drew to be here as like a black belt, get a black belt take on it. He's a teacher. He's a professor now. I really want to do it with him. I had fun doing the last one with him. So we're going to do it. We're going to do a review video. Wait, hold on 1 second. We're going to do a review video. A review video of, I uploaded 3 of my first competition videos. I think it was my first 2 competitions. So at white and at blue. I competed at every belt.
Self-purging humor.
I have my white and blue belts videos uploaded, ready to go. So on the next podcast or the next one that Drew's here, or even Junior, we're going to do the review of my actual videos.
Okay? I so want Master Ken to do a review of your video. I'm like already laughing, but I really
he would be perfect.
He's hilarious.
So huge shout out to Flow and Roll at flow_n_roll on Instagram. Get 20% off your online t-shirt, rash guard, or gi order with code JJD at flowandroll.com. Thank you, Sean, for all you do. You saved our butt on that last giveaway. I'm not even going into the details of that giveaway, but we had gis from another company. Some issues happened, and Sean came in. Sean came in, saved the day. Not only that, the guys from Tap Cancer Out said, hey, we want to give away another 2. Man. He said, choose 5 winners. We gave away 5 gis, 5 embroidered belts from Flow and Roll total. We also gave away, and oh my God, I forgot. I didn't write it down, but I'll tag them. Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, do I actually have it here? No, I don't. Let me see. Oh, no. I thought I wrote it down. We actually got patches from one company in Australia and another company, I think, here in the U.S., and we also sent out patches to all those guys. So it was 10 patches, 5 embroidered belts, and 5 gis, which turned what could have been a really bad situation because of the company that we were dealing with. Better. It turned into something way better. We got to get a lot of gis into people's hands.
Raining generosity on you.
All right, so we have 2 new sponsors.
Woohoo!
2 new sponsors.
Yes, we do.
So welcome to DD214 Fightwear at DD214_Fightwear on IG.
I was wearing their shirt yesterday.
Their motto is Gear for the War on PTSD. I like that. Okay, you've seen us wearing their tees on the show in the past. These are the guys that have the murder yoga tee.
Yeah,
right? That's like their most popular tee, murder yoga.
Yeah, ask me about
that's
murder
the
yoga.
one.
Yeah.
You'll see it on one of the logo scrolls here as well. You'll see their logo come up. So welcome aboard, guys. If you, let me see, we were doing, okay, so dd214bjj.com is the website. Place an online order, get 15% off with code JJD. They set that up.
Oh.
They set that up for us today.
Nice.
Now it gets even more interesting because they are giving back to the military and first responder community. So check this out. If you buy a gi on their website, you can donate a brand new gi to a military member, an active duty member, a veteran, or a first responder, people they call oath takers. You can donate for $41. You can donate a gi to someone.
Very nice.
Through geesforgees.org. So DD214 has hooked up with geesforgees.org. You buy it on the DD214 website.
He's donated there.
They're going to donate it to Geese for Geese.
Wow.
All right. So
that's cool.
Just another amazing company
Yep.
doing some really cool things in kind of this world that we find ourselves in. You know, so pretty awesome, right?
The web of awesomeness is just.
Yeah. We also want to welcome, again, we had Nick from this organization on episode 30. So we also want to welcome Warriors Next Adventure. You might remember Nick Ron, who told a very compelling story about trying to commit suicide and the gun not going off. Go back to episode 30 and listen to that, everyone.
Kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah, they are a veteran, 5013C, and they're filming a documentary called PTSD versus Jiu Jitsu. They're traveling the country for 50 days in April and June doing the filming. I've actually set them up with my gym, so they're actually going to be down here. We're going to have to get you to come in with the cameras and record. They're going to do some recording. Maybe I'll
get some behind the scenes.
Yeah, we'll do some behind the scenes stuff.
Maybe get a little interview from them while they're shooting.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yep, cool.
Check out the website.
Nice.
You can click the link that says actually a video halfway down the page. You'll see it say PTSD versus Jiu Jitsu.
It's actually coming up 2 logos away right after this one.
If you click on the tab for the doc, you'll see their tour dates and locations. You can come out to be part of filming. Just listen. Go visit warriorsnextadventure.com. All the details will be there. Also, these guys. You want to get my shirt? You got my shirt in that picture?
Yeah, yep.
Train for Real from Jiu-Jitsu 50. We had Jason from Jiu-Jitsu 50 on, what was it, 2 episodes ago? That was,
something like that.
Doing Jiu-Jitsu
right.
for law enforcement, right? Yeah, go check them out. It's on Instagram. It's at jiu-jitsu5_ the letter O. Not 0, the letter O. Go check them out. He has amazing tutorial videos on how to extract people from vehicles, again, as a police officer. Extracting someone from he's going to extract both from his vehicle later. Just listen, awesome tips on Jiu-Jitsu for law enforcement. He sent us some T-shirts.
Very cool.
Bo.
I love his logo. I got another T-shirt.
Another freaking T-shirt.
Oh,
your wife is going to be like, enough with these T-shirts, Bo.
I love it. I'm so grateful.
Wait. I think you're really going to like this.
You keep me dressed, man.
Because you still don't do jiu-jitsu. So I was like, what jiu-jitsu shirt do I get, Bo? Enough with the jiu-jitsu. He's wearing jiu-jitsu shirts and he doesn't do jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
So look what they had. Since you're a car guy.
No.
Since you're a car guy. Look at that. How
Dude,
awesome is that?
Thank you.
How awesome is that?
Thank you.
Squad Jiu-Jitsu 50.
Now when I speed, I can wear that shirt. So when I get pulled over, I just flash them the shirt.
There you go, man. As soon as I saw it, I had to pick shirts for everybody from the team,
Thank you.
And I looked at that shirt and I said,
that's
the one for Bo.
And I haven't seen one of these two-tone with the black sleeves since like the 1980s.
Yeah, right. It's got like what do they call it? Like the baseball. They used to call those like a baseball tee, right?
Like
a baseball jersey.
Baseball T-shirt kind of thing, yeah.
I thought that was perfect for you.
Awesome.
I picked this one for myself. I love, me,
Fantastic.
black.
Good choice,
Train for Real.
Good choice.
But we've got to change that, Bo. We're going to get you on the mat.
You called it.
All right.
Yes.
Shout out to our Patreon podcast patrons, including our newest gym sponsors, Carlson Gracie, Broward County, and North Lauderdale. That's down here in Florida. You can check them out at carlsongraciebrowardcounty.com. Go check them out and tell Big J the dummy sent you. Also, John Way Martial Arts in Plantation, Florida, johnwaymartialarts.com. They feature Wing Chun, Kung Fu, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu, Muay Thai. They do it all. You want to get into martial arts or you want to get into self-defense, it's a great place to go. They offer classes for children, teens, and adults. We also want to thank our podcast patrons, just regular Joes, Robert Walker, Frank House, Wolseley Rivera, Boa Athletics. You can check them out on IG at @Boa_athletics. Michael Pixley Jr., Jason Smiley, Britt Tavar, James Fisher, CJ Carroll, who always likes us to shout out Mission 22 as well. Chuck Redor out in Hawaii. What's up, Chuck?
What's up, Chuck?
Keep on sending the memes.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
And Roberto Santiago down here in South Florida actually hooked us up with John Way and Big J. So thank you for all the support, Roberto. Really appreciate you. Thank you. If you'd like to support the show, visit patreon.com/jiu-jitsu dummies. Join and you'll automatically be entered into a drawing every single month. We give away $100 worth of jiu-jitsu swag to 2 groups all together. We put them in one pool. If you're a Patreon supporter or if you submit questions that we answer on the show, they go into a raffle. We give away $100 worth of jiu-jitsu swag every month, whether it's CBD from Fight Back. It could be swag from the shop. So every once in a while, we'll get somebody to donate a gi. When Tap Cancer Out and Flow and Roll gave us the gis, swooped in and saved the day, I told them both, I'm going to give away a gi for we still have to do February and March. One is going to be a gi from Tap Cancer Out that we're going to pay for, cool. And one is going to be a gi from Flow and Roll, and we're going to throw in 2 embroidered belts as well.
Nice.
So we haven't awarded those yet. That's coming for February's raffle and for March. So we're going to do that as a thank you, not only to our listeners, but hey, they just gave out a couple of gis. We're going to buy a couple of gis.
Right. Awesome.
All right.
Awesomeness.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share wherever you're watching or listening. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to click the bell. No, it doesn't sound like that. No, doesn't sound like that either. You'll get notifications each time we launch new videos. So listen, we just appreciate the support. For those that don't understand social media, I know you're all watching us on social media or YouTube, wherever, but when you comment, you like postings, they get seen more. So even videos on YouTube, the more you comment, the more you like, the more the algorithm will show us. It only helps us. So that's why we also ask you to subscribe and to share all that good stuff.
Comment, interact.
Yeah. Anything helps. But again, episode 40, super excited to be here. It's amazing.
It's an anniversary episode.
Yeah.
Every 10.
We made a conscious effort to do fewer podcasts, but what we feel is higher quality.
Right.
We chose to do it that way. There's a reason why we do, a couple a month. There's some post-production that goes into this. I feel like
we're about to be able to do a lot more.
I think the reason why a lot of podcasts come and go is because they think that it just has to be content. Put out a ton of content, put out a ton of podcasts.
But relevance is, and production.
The production value is what we've done.
Maybe we should ask the audience about this. How do they feel about 2 episodes a week?
Easy. Don't know if we can get there yet.
Just to find out what they're thinking.
I have a job. I have a 9 to 5.
Yeah. But we will have a whole new window of opportunity.
We'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later. Yeah, I get it. That's a big time commitment. We're getting there. We're doing 3. We went from 2. We're doing 3 a month. So, all right, listen. Let's stop. Let's not keep him waiting.
Let's get the pilot in here.
Let's get the.
That was a missile, not the plane crashing.
All right, we're good.
Who is he now?
Huh?
Who's coming on?
TJ. Kreutzer.
There you go.
Did I say it right the first time?
Yeah.
I did say. I said, let's get TJ in here.
They don't know him by last
name. We introduced him before, though.
Some people don't know.
We introduced him. I said,
people have a
on the
5-minute memory, man.
We're going to have TJ Kreitzer, and then we're going to...
People like fish.
Let's get TJ in here.
People are like fish. They have a 5-minute memory.
My next sentence is going to be just telling everybody his last name.
Okay.
You fucked it up for me, bro.
Sorry.
All right, guys. Let's get TJ in here.
Let's do it.
Get TJ Kreitzer in here.
Let's do it.
We're gonna have to cut this whole thing out.
No,
we're gonna have to fix this.
Flip the
ready?
screen.
Say,
ready?
Flip
the screen like.
All right, everybody, let's get TJ in here.
Let's do it.
All right, everybody, joining us today is We Defy Foundation Vice President and Director of Operations, TJ Kreutzer. New blue belt, new purple belt. Sorry, purple belt, by the way, right? I just screwed that all up.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Welcome back.
Yeah,
well, I'll get better at this. You think at episode 40, you think that I'm better at this by now. Welcome back, TJ. How you doing, man?
Hey, it's awesome to see you guys. I'm glad to be talking to you guys again. And we get to talk from time to time about other things with the ambassador stuff. But and I don't want to steal your thunder with the intro and everything, but first thing I want to lead with is congratulations.
Thank you, man.
The board decided who we thought our outstanding ambassador contributors for We Defy should be for the year, and you were on the list.
Oh,
and,
awesome, man!
I did thank you guys.
I did see the post. Thank you, man.
Yeah, we wanted to thank you. And you're the main ambassador, but with Bo and the whole team, and all the stuff you guys have done, and we're on the podcast. We know you guys are advocating for what we're trying to do, and the veteran community in general, and all the other lights that you guys try to provide for people. We really appreciate that. And that's
thanks, man.
Completely in line with our mission. So
awesome, man.
I wanted to make sure we mentioned that first.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I mean, it pales in comparison to what you guys are doing, man. We're just over here joking around, telling wiener jokes and trying to.
Yeah, but it's good to be part of something. It's just really good to be part of something really good.
And TJ, you're not hearing the intro today, but because of what we've been doing, and because of look, we like giving stuff away. I mean, that's just always been a huge part of the show. It's like giving stuff away to listeners, giving stuff away to people in need. Not everybody knows, I'll put together old shirts and all my jiu-jitsu stuff because I wear them on. I've got so much stuff. And one time I gave away, a guy contacted me. I mentioned it on the show. A guy contacted me and I mailed him to his mom's house in Orlando. And then she got him up to him in Chicago. I like giving stuff away. It's just, it feels good. I get that from my mother. My mother every season used to make us clean out our rooms when I was a little kid. And it was give away toys, give away clothes. What have you outgrown? What aren't you wearing? And it's just always kind of part of my DNA to don't throw that out. I can give that to somebody. My parents still do it to me to this day. Old Tupperware. You want this milk? So just again, part of our DNA. I'm glad that it's part of the DNA of the show. And to come full circle, what I was going to say was that we've actually got 2 new sponsors of the show, 2 companies DD214 just came aboard yesterday.
Awesome.
And Warriors Next Adventure, who you guys I think are supporting on your on the documentary. They've both come aboard as sponsors just yesterday and today, and we'll actually we've got them up on the logo scroll on the episode today, so we were able to squeeze them in. So again, look, we love supporting the veteran community. You got our original crew, Janet and her husband. He was, a Marine vet, Junior, who just is so busy and really actually loves doing the roundtables a little bit more. When we had to go to this format of just interviewing straight interviews versus doing the roundtables, the guys, it just gets a little tight and it's just a little weird. Multiple people asking questions. So our format slightly changed. That's going to change back. But with the crew that started this with us, it's just always been amazing to give back to that community. So we're happy. I appreciate the shout out. And look, again, these new companies that we're working with, they know we support you. I know you're supporting them. It's just this really great feeling to just continue to help each other out. So I'll be
there's tremendous interconnectivity between those 2 groups and us. And I've told Nick from Warriors Next Adventure this a lot of times. We talk about this. I kind of of the mindset that 1 + 1 = 3, or it's you don't have to make it a 0-sum game. You don't have to be competing with everybody for money. I mean, we're all trying to do the same thing, and I think it's much better to build each other up together. Than to have a competitive environment. And those guys are super ingrained and intertwined with a lot of what we do in the ambassador scene and the social media scene. So that's awesome to see that they're with you guys too.
Yeah, I'm happy to have them. Bo and I talk about this all the time. Bo and I have worked together for years. We did some other stuff together way back in the day. But when we started doing this, and then we decided to do the foundation, which I want to talk to you a little bit about too. You could probably maybe recommend some guys that we could be working with, but we'll come back to that. I have a client now in my marketing, my 9 to 5 in the marketing world. I love calling him and getting his voicemail because he's a philanthropist and he owns some HVAC companies, but he also he donates a lot of money to different organizations. And his voicemail says, you can succeed. This is how, when you call and you get his voicemail, it opens up with, you can succeed best by helping others succeed. And I've just carried that over into the podcast. I've carried that over into the foundation. I think Bo and I probably talk about that almost every time he comes out to shoot because of that, it's made the podcast more successful. And listen, we're not making a ton of money here, but our souls feel really good. We look at each other and we look at what we're doing and we look at the people that we're working with and like, damn, this feels so much better than anything that we've done. And we've done businesses where we were, it was all about making money and doing sales. And to do this together where it's like, the money comes, it comes.
I'm earning my right to live.
I put him in a box and I stick him in the garage between podcasts.
bring him out once in a while. Yeah.
So again, it feels really good to be doing that. So yeah, I'm glad to have those guys. Where I was going to go with how you could probably help us is, we started posting to get basically nominations for our next scholarship. We did 2 scholarships for kids. We'd really like to do one for a veteran and then a first responder. So what I was thinking about in the back of my mind, it's always been, well, I know there's some guys that you guys would probably really like to sponsor or to award scholarships to, but maybe they couldn't for whatever reason, but they might be a good fit for us. So I don't know if there's a way to maybe, hey, Milt, maybe get in touch with these guys. I think that would be really awesome. We'd really like to be awarding something right away. Like we're trying, we're just raising a little more money and hopefully it'll happen in the next month. But, for us here, we want to, not just a veteran, somebody who's we're thinking more along the lines of, somebody who's doing some really good things in their community. What are they doing to give back? Again, it kind of falls in with what we've been doing. But we could talk about that a little bit more off air.
Yeah,
and if I see your mind working and the smoke's coming out of your ears and in a good way. And I think that maybe you might be able to pass along some guys that maybe weren't the perfect fit or you couldn't do anything with them with We Defy and they might be a good fit for the Jiu Jitsu Dummies Foundation.
When I saw you guys posting about that, it already had my gears going a little bit.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I wonder if there's. I'm glad you brought this up because I wonder if there's a cross section here where we can find a candidate like that. With them. So let's talk. We definitely want to talk about that.
Okay. Awesome.
Together.
Awesome. So let's go back. You just got your purple belts within the last couple of months since you've been back, right? Since you've been back training.
August. I was training on my own most of this year with a small pot of people. I played it a little more conservative. For myself, just because I got some health stuff that makes me want to be a little bit more careful. So, gotcha. But I still train, and we worked in a small group. We had a couple guys. We called it a murder pod, and cool. It was all brown belts and purple belts.
I wonder why my videos get blocked when I try to advertise them sometimes. I'm like, what are they saying? We're just just talking self-defense. It's like murder. I ripped his arm off. I'm like, why are they blocking these videos?
One of the dudes is a brown belt named Oleg, so you can imagine what that's like.
Anybody named Oleg, you got to be like, I don't know if I want to roll with you guys.
Yeah. So my coach, our gym was able to operate. We're in Minnesota, and every state has different rules, but the gyms up here have had some periods of time when they had to be closed, but for the most part, they've been able to figure out ways to operate within the confines of what is supposed to be going on as best as they can. And, I wasn't quite ready for that environment for a while. And then when I was ready, I went back. But my coach stayed in touch with us to see, hey, what are you doing? How much are you training? What are you logging your hours? Keep me posted. Let me know what's going on. So when we got to the point that they felt like that was appropriate, they brought us in for a special class.
Oh, okay.
And they gave, and actually for my gym's been around for maybe 1 or 2 generations of guys, but it's we have a really good strong gym now, good program, but it's young. It's got a lot of white belts and blue belts. So when we got promoted, it was really neat because it was the first kind of mass purple belt promotion since I've been there. Where there were 4 of us that got them, and that meant a lot that they were invested enough in us to keep in touch with us while we were out.
That's awesome, man.
And while we were doing the things that we felt like were prudent for our own situation, they cared and they kept in touch, and they, and we're still part of that team. And then I finally was able to get back to the gym full time with the vaccination stuff going. And let me give a shout out to the VA here because I got the full Moderna series, because of them doing good things for veterans. And the Minneapolis VA, I've always had a good experience with.
Yeah.
So they came through. I've been back at the gym for 3 weeks, and it's been awesome to be back.
Yeah, man.
Full time. I probably trained 20% or 25% last year, as much as I usually do in a year. And I was telling you earlier, I've trained, like in the last 3 weeks, I've trained more than I did in 4 previous months.
Wow.
And at some point, my body's gonna be like, "Hey, knock this off." but
I feel you, man. It's tough. I mean, especially those of us who it's our stress relief or relief, however you want to say it.
Yeah,
it's important to us, man. I know it was difficult. I was forced it was pandemic, and I was forced to, I was sidelined because of the knee. But as soon as I was able to go back, I just mentioned to you, like I felt like I tweaked my knee last week, and I just put one of my braces on, like my one of my braces that I used during rehab that like really doesn't let it move side to side at all. I just popped that baby on and didn't say anything to anybody. Like I just trained like normal today. I can't. It's hard to go without it. There's like this sense of loss when I don't get trained. I'm sure lots of people listening to this, get it.
I'm sure. Yeah, the first half of the COVID year for me, I think was more anxiety-ish. Like, man, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Like, how serious is this thing? Nobody really knew. As more and more came out, we figured out more and more ways to manage things, manage our own lives to an extent. But then in the fall, when we had that second lockdown series, especially up here, for the first time in my life, I think I was experiencing like more depressive type feelings, which I haven't really felt before.
Yeah.
I mean, I've coped with anxiety on different levels, especially with my job and the stress level, but not what I dealt with this winter.
Yeah.
With the absence of jiu-jitsu and being able to train a little bit, but then gone, nothing.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
And that was really hard, especially in the winter, man. Winter up here, there's no sun, it's cold, it's minus 25 degrees, that was a rough period. And when a lot of people, I don't know, people don't want to always talk or reveal like exactly what they were thinking or how they were feeling. So I do try to kind of be as transparent as I can about stuff like that. But when I do bring it up, that's when people tell me, yeah, I was feeling that.
Feel the same
and
way.
So I know I'm like not the only person. Like there's a lot of people. I think it's the first time in our lives that like humanity has been suffering from one giant mental health crisis.
So as it relates to We Defy, I don't know that we've ever really actually talked about this specific point, but how closely do you guys maybe on the board? Is this more of an ambassador thing? How in close contact are you with the guys that have the We Defy scholarships that you guys sponsor? Are you talking to these guys on the phone once in a while, like yourself?
Yeah, this is an awesome subject. When the foundation first started, it was smaller, right? Because it's just starting, and it was in Texas. And the model at the time was, let's take veterans and put them in gyms that do jiu-jitsu, because we know how awesome that community is and how impactful that activity is for their lives, just in general.
Yeah. And
that was the model that went forward. And when this, the board kind of transitioned to this to the new team, the team that we have now, we kept that same model, but in the back of my mind, I'd always thought, I wonder what would happen if we had ambassadors that were, ambassadors for us were sort of brand ambassadors, and they were fundraising, things like that. But there really wasn't any interaction with the veterans. And we just hadn't gotten to that point, comfort-wise and maturity as an organization yet, where we were ready to tackle that. But then when COVID hit, man, I got 80, 60 people training. And some of these gyms are going to be open, and some are going to close, and some guys aren't going to want to train, and some guys are going to want to train. And we want to make sure that we give the gyms and the athletes the year of funding, of experience, but we also want to respect their personal choices where what they think they need to do.
Yeah.
How am I going to track all that? Like, I can't track all that on my own. So we had the idea, like, what if we use the ambassadors to call or keep in touch with the gyms? So we fielded a team of like 6 to start tracking. Okay, what gyms are open? What gyms are closed? Which athletes are training? Who wants to be on hold? Who wants to pause? And so it was intended to be kind of an administrative function. But what we found was that the ambassadors that were calling were becoming mentors, and they were building relationships with their athletes. And it was like, that's where we had like the light bulb moment. Like, this is what we can do. Mm-hmm. We can build this identity. We can bring the athletes not just into gyms, but we can bring them into We Defy, and we can all benefit together from knowing the impact that we're making, building these relationships, building these connections. And it was kind of a thing we fell into because of COVID, but now that's the model. And
that's great.
We wouldn't be able to do what we did last year, because we can talk about this later too, like what we went through as an organization in 2020, because it's not gonna, that story isn't, I think, what we thought it was going to be when we first heard what COVID was, or we first knew it was going to impact us.
Yeah.
But the ambassador network, like, that's why we wanted to do a recognition program. We wanted to point out, like, hey, who has really kicked some serious ass for us? And it's because we couldn't do it. We couldn't provide what we're providing without this group of ambassadors that is incredible and has the same passion that everybody else from the board on out has.
Wow. So let's talk about that. You guys had a record year, correct? Is it a record year?
Yeah, I mean, the numbers they're still doing this year's 2020's like final numbers for tax and stuff, so we won't have the results of that. But I do know we were close to 300,000, and I think we did about 50 more than last year, in 2020 than 2019. That's kind of the initial hack at our numbers. And we did that without any big formal events, because the 2 previous years, or actually in 2019, we had 2 galas. So we did one in Dallas and one in LA. And especially the Dallas one was wildly successful. Wow. And it was early on for the foundation when I think, when you're in an organization like this, you're trying to figure out what can we actually pull off? Like, we don't know until we try it, right? So there's risk involved in some of these things. And I think that I wasn't on the board at the time of that first gala, but I would consider that to have been a risk. And it went awesome. It was phenomenal. But 2019's numbers weren't as good as 2020's, even with 2 galas. And that's because of the ambassadors. We had booths, and I absolutely need to take a moment to give my thanks to Marcos Flores with Grappling Industries, Seth Daniels at Fight to Win, and Ryan McGuire with Third Coast, because those guys have been finding ways for us to access events that, largely in most cases at no charge, or with special deals and things, because they want to make differences too. And they've put us in a position to have incredible success, even in the grassroots fundraising type stuff. Like the booths, we used to be happy with a $250 performance. We're hitting $1,000 at Grappling Industries on a regular basis. They don't charge us. We just show up. And that's, we couldn't do this without the ambassadors doing that, and then people like them. Timothy Morthland down in he's one of the Fuji franchise owners in the Southeast, most of those Southeast states. He lets us show up for free. It's not just us anymore. It's you guys. It's this podcast that's blowing this up and allowing us to do what we did in the year of COVID. Everything shut down. We lost half of the tournaments we could have possibly have been a part of.
I tell people every day, if you had a crystal ball, nobody would have predicted this. Put it that way. Of course,
no. The amount of opportunity that. So look, this is proof that adversity breeds opportunity.
Oh yeah, That's absolutely believe that. I didn't know that before. I know that now.
I don't.
You're sure of it now. You mean?
I'm 100% positive, and now I know to look. I know to look.
Yeah.
I know how do we find it.
Well, when something falls down, look what was underneath it, or look what was behind it, because there might be a reason for it. Might be a reason.
And I would say even a step further is look at the people around you.
Indeed.
It's those connections, and those are the connections that we lost a lot in 2020, like the physical ability to be together. Mm-hmm. Those things that really bogged us down and are emotionally and mentally, but we still find ways to do it, to rely on each other and to provide. I mean, that was the thing. Like, man, all these states are down. We Defy can't really fundraise very efficiently right now. Ryan McGuire, man, what he did that was the only show in town for a little while. Yeah. Man. The stuff that
they did those back-to-back events, I guess, right? They had kind of a backlog of events.
Yeah,
what was it, like 4 to 6 weeks in a row? So I don't know.
Yeah,
something like that.
Over and over and over. Every single time we're in there. And you know what he asked us to do for him? Nothing.
Yeah.
Wow.
He just wanted to help. And that's what he said. The opportunity in that adversity. It's
a lot of good energy that came out of. A lot of good energy that came out of 2020,
From, again, my 9 to 5, that world, certain industries, like, restaurants, if they weren't prepared to deliver, they went out. But people are home. Home services went through the roof. Like these guys, roofers, contractors, painters, they, for the most part, have not been hurt by this. People are home. They want to get things taken care of. Those guys are like, you call them to talk to them about their marketing. They're like, I can't take another stitch of business, buddy. What do it's like, I can't even do anything. Our clients were just like, hey, how can we get more? But new clients, they're like, whoa, I don't need help with anything. I've got more than I can handle. Again, nobody would have guessed, just kind of when you think about these little niches of things that have happened, that it would have been like this, that it would have gone down like this. Because I think everybody was kind of pooping their pants like, oh, geez. I mean, everybody in my company, 80 plus, 90 plus employees, all of a sudden we're all working from home. Everybody going, oh my God, they're going to have to downsize. I mean, that's just next, isn't it? Right. And we're hiring, we used to just hire in Florida. Now we hire all over the country because this is our model now going forward.
Yeah,
they don't even think we're going back into the office. They think we're going to stay remotely because we've had so much success. So, and they're actually letting us kind of decide, you want to do 50-50, go 100%. But yeah, again, nobody could have predicted this, but I'm happy to see that you guys have not only, kind of thrived here, but really kind of taken it to a whole nother level. I'm glad to see you guys embracing like other things, like the relationships with other companies, and like you said, the ambassador network. Those guys stepping up. I mean, it's really nice to see.
But with 2020, we had set a goal of, 2019, we had set a goal of having 60 athletes for that year. So for 2020, that was kind of the transitionary time period when the new board was trying to figure everybody out and figure out how we're going to operate, what we're going to do. And we didn't update that number. We said, okay, we'll keep going with 60. Like, we'll see what the funding level is. We gotta figure this stuff out. Well, we ended up doing 53 last year because we lost 2 months early on in their first big salvo of lockdowns. But it wasn't a funding issue. It was literally because gyms weren't open. We didn't want to place anybody until we knew that gyms were open. In different states, we were able to access quicker, But now, we were doing 5 a month. We're doing 10 a month.
Wow.
And that's, again, because of the success we had last year with fundraising. And the other thing that I think what COVID early on let us do is really take a look at our operation and figure, okay, we're growing. We're going to continue to grow. What do we need that we don't have to manage the growth going forward? We had the time. You know what I mean? To figure it out organizationally. That's kind of where the role that I played just kind of bigger and bigger and bigger, because I started off as an ambassador, then I took over that national position for ambassadors. Then I started working the relationships with the gyms because that made sense. And then when I was asked to be the vice president, I started getting a little more into the athlete stuff because it's all interrelated. And it just seemed, what if we just put this all under one umbrella? And then that's when I picked up the title Director of Operations with VP, because it just made sense. And we spent the time creating procedures. I mean, I'm writing procedures and updating procedures and taking what we were doing before and how do we need to tweak this for the next set of challenges. And like I'm anticipating we're going to 10 a month. We're going to have to change the format of this team a little bit. We need more personnel here. We were able to do that because we had a couple months in 2020 to not do anything.
Yeah.
Really, So again, opportunity. It's kind of, you wouldn't think that, because when it first goes down, you're like, dude, can we keep doing this?
Yeah.
Is this going to survive?
So let's talk about surviving. Let's go back. Tell everybody what you guys did, because I don't think we touched on it yet. Was you started to help? You said you kept on paying the gyms, basically, right? I mean, that's how you helped here, even though they were closed. If you were paying for a student, if a student of theirs had a scholarship, you kept on paying it. You paid their monthly, right?
We did. If they asked for it. Not some of the gyms didn't. Some gyms were in a really good financial positions and some weren't. And there are some that closed, permanently. But we made an offer to everybody that had one of our scholarship recipients that, hey, if you are closing, we're going to pay you through your closure. And we'll pay you until the year ends, so you get the 12 months of payments. And we'd like at the end of that for you to tack on the time that the student missed while you were closed. Mm-hmm. But we did that because we can't function without those small businesses, So we were trying to help them make it through that. One membership, okay, I know it's not a lot, but it's something. Yeah. It's a way that we can assist them. And then it's like that where we realize how symbiotic we all are. We're not just here for the veterans.
Yeah.
We're supporting these small businesses. We're all part of this community together in this We Defy community.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, I noticed it with the podcast specifically for us. I mean, people weren't driving to work. They weren't listening to podcasts as much. We could see those numbers go down, and I could see them coming up now, So, okay, podcast numbers go down. Well, sponsors go down, sponsors go down.
Yeah,
that's how we pay. That's how we pay to do this. We don't ask for a lot, but the little bit that we do get, which we appreciate, what goes to keeping this going, which we love. So,
I see a commonality here with all kinds of businesses, and everybody, even personally, like in their personal lives, people were forced to reflect. And this is not something that usually comes up. Like you'll say, okay, we need to analyze our company, or we need to analyze our business or our demographic, and you don't get around to doing it. Mm-hmm. This was like, you have no choice.
Yeah.
Like while you're waiting here,
it's funny. And this isn't tooting our horn, because we haven't done it yet.
I had to do it. And for the last, literally, it was this month that I finally got my shit together. I realized, what am I going to do? And I just turned down, and Sean, love you, man. And I'm so appreciative for giving me this opportunity. If you ever watch this episode, even though you're not into jiu-jitsu, but I was offered literally the opportunity of a lifetime, something that 10 years ago, 15 years ago was so me. Like I would have dropped everything and everyone in my life to get this opportunity. And I walked away from it. And we're still going to be doing something on a contractor basis, but it was the golden opportunity, and I turned it down because it's the wrong time. Yeah. And I'm so happy I did, because a few days later I got confirmation that whatever I was planning now was the right thing to do.
And he's talking specifically about the podcast. I know we've talked about it. The podcast is just taking off.
And a couple of other endeavors of my own.
Yeah.
Plus, I told you about this NFT thing. So I just made like 100 of our viewers rich with this NFT concept just by dropping that.
I don't want to get into it.
We're not going to get into it. Yeah, we're not going to. But look at that. I never thought I would be part of something with crypto. And here I am sliding right into that world.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. But I guess, when you do look back, I was going to say that, on Saturday mornings, when I go to the gym, I didn't realize it at first, probably maybe one or two Saturdays, there's a line coming out of a church, and there's a food bank in the back. And again, we've been lucky, we've been blessed. I talked to my wife about it, and I said, I think we need to go pick up a couple of cases of food and see if we can donate. Maybe we'll drive by and find out if they'll take just regular donations. I'm sure they will. And I said, we've been so lucky. My wife didn't lose a day of work. I didn't lose a day of work. The podcast is doing really well. We were lucky enough to sell our house and get into, we're waiting for it to finish being built, but we'll be moving into a new house, knock on wood, in June. I'm not gonna say we were unaffected by the coronavirus and the pandemic, but we did okay. it was probably more mental stress than anything, but we're part of the lucky few who actually, other than location, again, my wife went to work every day. My daughter does school from home. I had to work from home. So we were just lucky and blessed. And I really feel like, again, given a couple of cases of food and things like that once in a while. But when I see but there are people that have been affected. There are people that lost their jobs, it does, a little bit goes a long way. So anyway, but
you bring up something really interesting. Dave Meltzer, Sports One Network, I think it's Meltzer, Dave Meltzer. So he talked about this whole charitability thing, generosity, right? And how you use it. And it was funny because for a long time, or all his life, he made it big, he was successful, and he was always giving to charity. Yet somehow the energy wasn't there. Then he lost everything, and he redid his whole mental structure, his whole mindset, and he started actually committing physical time to helping.
Yeah.
Not just money, not just giving to charities, but actually taking his time and going out there and he said the same thing you just did. I found I didn't lose any time. I didn't wasn't giving some extra effort. It's just somehow fit right in.
There's a selfishness in this. I don't run from it. There's a selfishness in this for myself.
Yeah.
It is very cleansing to my soul.
Sure.
Not just talking about it, but doing it. Being part of this, doing our own foundation, helping other people do their thing. I say to I wasn't always the best human being in the world growing up. I partied. I did my crazy stuff.
Jerk.
This is, my penance, if you want to call it. It is, again, feels cleansing to the soul.
You're repenting, my man.
So I just love being a part of this kind of stuff. Whether there's anything in it for us or not, whether it's like, hey, look, we're doing it, on the show. Right. Never again, you'll help. But what I said before, you're going to succeed best by helping others succeed. That really is, absolutely kind of in the back of my mind all the time when I'm trying to help somebody, when they're doing something, but I think TJ, you kind of said, the ambassadors, without maybe even realizing it. I don't know if they're having these thoughts consciously, but they are doing these things. What Bo was just saying right now, that little extra effort from them, when you think about that, everybody, if you could tell me, but every ambassador being responsible to call X amount of gyms or X amount of scholarship recipients. I mean, it goes so far. And if you guys continue to grow, it's just going to be that much bigger and bigger year over year. 350 grand this year. Did you say 350 that was raised?
It was under 300 for 2020, but it was about 50 more.
Okay. So, I mean, you can just imagine, imagine awesome. What the, if things continue, what this could be, what it can continue to be. And really, let's talk about your role. Let's kind of take a step back. So you're on the board of directors, and your official title is VP. Are you this, and then you take on this second role of director of operations, or are they really completely intertwined?
It's you wouldn't have to have the VP do what I'm doing. Okay. That's just the way where it all kind of sits together. Mm-hmm. So the director of operations part is it's literally a daily operations. And I still have a normal human job that's not a nonprofit, but this is not a paid position. This is a volunteer position, and on a heavy week I'll spend 30 hours doing We Defy stuff. I would say most weeks are probably 10 to 20, but there are absolutely times when it is almost a full time.
Can I ask a personal question? Let me throw one in there.
Yeah.
As somebody who, and I talk about this a lot on the show, I'm very open. My wife does not love jiu-jitsu. Mm-hmm. She probably thought that the podcast was just a fad. She used to call it a hobby. She called it a hobby till it started making some money and we were getting sponsors and it started paying for itself. Love you, babe. She can probably hear me.
Thank you.
What is that like? And I've asked this of a lot of people, how like jiu-jitsu in personal life, because I want to learn. I always say I'm the dummy here. I want to learn. It's not just about jiu-jitsu. How does that work in your family life? How difficult is that? Is your wife very supportive of it, or is she on the other side of that door going, hurry up, come to dinner? How does that work?
I'm in a unique position because with my normal job, I do a lot of on call, and if I'm not used, I can do whatever I want.
Okay.
So I do have a fair amount of time to dedicate. But I also pick up a lot of the kids' stuff. Like I go to school, come home, put them to bed. If I'm working, I'm gone.
The jiu-jitsu dad.
So yeah. So my My wife plays single mom.
We'll cut that out for you.
Yeah, can you edit that part?
We'll just put in.
We'll cut that out. Beep. That's where those bells come in handy.
We'll take where he said wife.
You guys have that effect?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so she plays single mom when I'm working. My wife plays single mom to my child when I'm working. So I pick up a lot of that stuff too. And early on, I was not a senior, so I was gone a lot, and I was trying to do jiu-jitsu a lot, and that was rough. I was trying to find time to do all that stuff. But she plays tennis about probably as much as she gets as much out of tennis as I get out of jiu-jitsu. So we both have an activity, and I think that's a huge part of it.
That's what changed it for me on this end. My wife got into kickboxing.
Yeah, she's got her thing. I have mine, and we both make sure that we both get time to do that.
Yeah.
I think as the responsibility with this organization increased, me telling her stories about what's happening has helped her to give me more rope. You know what I mean? And more, hey, I understand this is important. This is the most important thing professionally I have ever done in my life. And I flew fighters, and when you're in the military, you know what you're doing is important, but you don't get to see what is happening. You don't get the payoff. Once a month, I hear from a guy or a girl that's like, I would maybe not be alive. I had someone telling me a couple weeks ago that if they were clean for 8 months now, and if they weren't in the gym, they probably would be on or OD'd from heroin.
Wow.
That's what this program is doing for people. And I'm in a unique position as the VP with operations because I get to see all the pieces and how they all play together. So if we have a volunteer that, say, is in Yonkers, New York or whatever, that's doing great stuff for us in the local community, they probably don't get to hear these stories unless we do a good job of communicating them to the people, which isn't always easy, Yeah. And I try to make sure I'm explaining what is going on to the other people so they get to see the pictures, because I get to see the whole thing, and it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
How it's grown. And to be able to communicate that with my wife, I think allows her to let me run with this.
Yeah.
Understanding kills fear. And really any kind of conflict like that comes out of fear, and it's just not from not knowing the details, not having enough information. So
I mean, I think my wife's outlook on jiu-jitsu changed when she found something that she was as passionate about. She was never a gym rat. She didn't really work out. That wasn't her thing.
Well, she did go into bad neighborhoods with a helmet on and just beat people.
now she absolutely, it is, conversations during the week, like, I didn't get to go to the gym. Like, I want to go so bad, So, for both of us, we both do Saturday and Sunday. My gym does open mats on Saturday and Sunday. She goes to her gym. Those are we absolutely don't miss those days. And then we both try to sprinkle in a couple of days of training during the week if we can.
Yeah.
I'm usually able to a little bit more than she is, because she's got to travel a little bit now for work. As far as just distance wise, there's an extra 2 hours in the day with traffic for where she has to drive to now. Which she didn't, thank you, Corona. It was like she was managing 7 offices, and now she has to be in one where she was traveling through, to each office on a daily basis, or to multiple offices in a day. And then she could be on her way home and be home at 5 and then go train. So now she really can't. Wow. So actually kind of funny, going back to what you were saying before about not being able to go to the gym, usually for me, and I try to take credit for her getting into kickboxing because she doesn't give me any credit for it, though. I always had a punching bag in the house, somewhere in the house. When I was a kid, I borrowed a buddy's and I hung it from a tree outside. When I was single, I had the big Everlast one, like in my living room. Then I had one in a dining room. Like, I've always had a punching bag in the house. And because we were moving, we've been like, just kind of like, okay, we'll get it set up when we move in the house. And then we moved to a townhouse because the house wasn't ready. And we still haven't been able to set it up. That's always been, I did have like a reflex bag in the last townhouse we were in, because it was nice and small. We can get in the living room. And that was just hitting something gave me my therapy. Plus, again, I was going through therapy on the knee. So that gave me my therapy. So I guess I didn't kind of go as bonkers as I probably would have gone if I didn't have an outlet like that.
Yeah.
But the hitting a heavy bag was kind of always my go-to. It was the thing that I was in love with before I found jiu-jitsu. So that's, that definitely helped me. I see a lot of stuff that you've posted, like you training with your son, right? You have him on your back, you're doing squats. Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know if that's like I love to work. I'm getting back into the gym and doing weights now because all these young white belts are kicking my ass on these freaking muscle-bound white belts, 26 years old, trying to kick my butt. You were talking before, I think before we went on, talking about how, like, you're playing defense because all these crazy white belts. But you just don't know what they're gonna do to you, like the spazoid. It's almost like with jiu-jitsu. Sometimes it's almost easier to beat a new blue belt than a brand new white belt, because the blue belt moves in a predictable fashion within jiu-jitsu. Oh yeah, okay.
The white belt, you're still going to beat the new white belt, but he's not going to do what you expect. And there's a possibility, especially as a big guy, because they're so tense and they're putting so much force in everything. Yeah, that you're going to take an elbow or something that you wouldn't take from somebody who is
the spazzy white belt, a little
more experienced.
Yeah, the spazzy white belt.
The spazzy white belt. So I definitely, like, the first couple of days I was back, I was playing defense, laying back, kind of letting them do their thing and get my, working on position and, taking advantage, getting to the back. And so that's where I want to be anyway, but not doing it in aggressive. Because the other thing is, if I bring aggression, and I'll bring aggression, but I'm not going to do it to the new white belt big guy, because if I do that, how's he going to react? Yeah. Is he going to bring controlled aggression too, that I know how to maneuver and play with? Mm-hmm. Or do I just need this? Because if I make the wrong call on that and he does something wonky, and I'm 155 pounds,
I'm one whole 10-year-old bigger than you.
Swallowed half of him.
I tell you, TJ, for me, when it's just something that I do on my own, especially when it's a big guy. At least when I first start training with them, I'll usually say, and if I know they're a white belt, we don't do a lot of no-gi in my gym. It's usually our open mats or our no-gi days. When I do have a big guy like that, I'll usually say, once I determine how long they've been training, sometimes it's a week, sometimes, again, with the pandemic, they might've been training for a few months, but I'll say, hey, what would you like to work on? And I'll let them get in, like, get a guard, get into my side guard, or, again, brand new guys, hey, Jiu-Jitsu 101. Let's work on open and close guard passing. Let's, I go with something very specific, because I do know, like you said, I'm going to want somebody's getting hurt, and it's probably going to be me because they're too unpredictable. Where again, once they're around a little bit, they know, okay, well, let me not do this stupid move because it's just going to hurt one of us. Let's actually do some jiu-jitsu rather than the whole like, So I'll usually, and my coaches have always been okay with it, and I think they haven't really had a conversation with me about it, but I think they like that I do it because they know, like, hey, the new guy, especially if it's a big new guy, hey, big new guy, go with Milton, because I'm usually one of the bigger, if not the biggest guy in my gym. Most of the time I'm the biggest. At 235 on any given weekday, I'm probably the biggest. There's like one other guy now that's back that used to train with us who's a blue belt, who's a little bit bigger than me. And he and I usually train together, but I'll almost always just hold on. I don't care that the bell just went off and everybody's rolling. Hey, what do you want to work on? How long have you been doing this? Yeah. Do you feel like you have some weaknesses somewhere? Do you know how to do this? The answer is almost, loaded question. I'll almost always know the answer is going to be no. And then we work on stuff. And then it gets, once you kind of know them a little bit too, there's two things that get the spaz out of white belts: them knowing you and them learning jiu-jitsu. So I like to get to know them, because then they're not going to be like, listen, I'm not going to try to kill you. I'm going to let you work on your stuff. So let's work on this. Okay, now work a little harder. Yeah. Okay, pass my guard. Now go a little, don't go worry about fast. Worry about accuracy and work on the details. The speed is going to come. And then they usually, at least with me, then I'll see them trying to murder somebody across the gym once we're done rolling. But with me, listen, I got to work the next day. I'm not there. I'm not typically training for a competition. I haven't since after the heart attack. I did one competition after that. That was pretty hard because cardio sucked. But that's the way I do it. So I'm not scared to say, let's work on something versus, all right, let's see where this goes. I just don't. I don't feel comfortable doing that.
Pray and jump.
Anyway, again, and then coming back from the knee injury as well. Like now I'm always like, okay, it's on my mind still. I don't want to re-injure it. I could deal with the injury. As crazy as I can't deal with being out. Right. I think that's the mindset for a lot of us.
That's the worst part.
That's why a lot of guys work through the injuries. There's a I think he's the heavyweight champion and Fight to Win. Kodiak Fields. He's a Fight Sports guy. Kodiak, right? So he just posted today. I'm going to be out. He's missing, I think, the next Fight to Win because he's like, I've got some injuries that I've been ignoring, and I've got, and I see, he trains down there with Cyborg, and I mean, they don't play. Like that's some hard training. So anyway, so like, that's what happens. That's the alternative. And for me, it just can't be. I can't not do the podcast. I can't not go to work in the morning. I can not train, but the brain is going to go bonkers if I can't get into the gym. So, I mean, that's the way I do it. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but like, again, sitting down with somebody and being like, hey, hold on, let's work on something. I feel I have like permission to do that from my gym. Nobody's told me, don't do that. Just roll with the guy, murder him. It doesn't happen.
No, I think there's a lot of utility in that. I mean, you got nothing to prove to that, to yourself at least.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes you get a white belt in there that needs something to be proven to them, but that's going to happen anyway because you're gonna put yourself in a dominant position. It's just, how do I get there? Do I get there smoothly and using defense, or do I get there by just going freaking, honey badger?
Yeah.
Because I can do that too, but I'm like I said, a big new white belt. What I don't want to do is bring a level of aggression that they're going to try to meet with aggression because they don't know what else to do. And then like, it's physics. I'm little, but now that says I'll roll with it. I'll roll with anybody. I don't care about size. I don't care about whatever, there's something to be learned from each interaction. But now, especially I've been doing this for, close to 6 years. And even today I was talking to the guys about it, that a year and a half ago, even, I didn't have the ability to rev the engine or pull it back the way I do now, in terms of what kind of technique am I going to use and how much aggression, like, you know what I mean? It was on a lot, and I could vary it a little bit, but it was mostly up. And now I can really, and I feel like I have to, because I'm starting to see there's a big skill difference now between myself and some of the newer people. And the other thing too is I don't want to hurt anybody either.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, doing something with aggression, this controlled aggression, but you can be an upper belt and still hurt somebody, right? Easy. You're not just this amazing. You have to be careful, and you have to gauge your training partners too. Like, how big are they? How strong are they? And if they're a little on the smaller side.
And I think that we always have to remember too. And again, I do talk to my coach a lot about marketing. Like, he'll ask me little tips. I'll be like, hey, what do you do for this? Just, we have small conversations here and there. And what students have to remember is, this is a business for your coach. This is your professor, your coach's business. And if you're out there hurting anyone and they don't come back, times that 100, 150 times 12, and you just lost him that. Yep. So it's bad enough that you have people that, kind of come and go, or that, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to pay, just for your classes, if that's what you do. But think about, 150 plus a month times 12, he loses that because you put a knee on somebody's face, because, maybe you just went a little too hard and wrist locked the white belt, So I do keep that in the back of my mind, and that's helped me. Look, I'm not, again, in the foreseeable future, I'm not looking to compete. I'm not, try not to treat it like a training session, like an ADCC match. But besides, again, not wanting to get hurt, not wanting to hurt anybody else, it's still a business for your coach. And if you're out there being a dick, basically, you're going to cause your gym problems. And I could say that I have probably been guilty of that because like you said, like, I didn't always, turn it down with the spazzy white belt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah? Really? This is what we're doing. Okay. And now it's kind of like,
crush,
okay,
kill,
pull guard,
destroy. Crush, kill, destroy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, it used to be like that. And we talk about that a lot. We had Brandon McCaffrey on. He's a 10th planet black belt. I'm not sure you know him. He he said, I actually put out a clip of it too, because it was the perfect way to think about that. He said, you come at me like a savage, I'm not only going to go light, but I'm going to go light, and I'm going to hit. He did it like this too with his hand. He goes, and I'm going to submit you. and it just really sticks in my mind now as, yeah, I mean, look, he's I think 15 years in, and he owns his gym. You can't go at everybody like a savage, because even if you can submit him, doesn't mean that you can't tweak your knee. You can't, you can't hurt a shoulder. In that, okay, you submitted him, and then you get, oh shit, I just messed something up.
Yeah,
but
sure.
It was so perfect the way he put it. He speaks so
funny,
eloquently
really
about
funny.
jiu-jitsu. I love talking to him. But yeah, just it was a great way to look at it. And he goes, but that's the beauty of jiu-jitsu. Then you're going to learn. Didn't you just learn even more in that role, or that's being submitted? So. That's kind of sits in the back of my mind now. I'm definitely much more calm than I've ever been in my jiu-jitsu. I'm with the pandemic. I'll be 3 years at purple belt in July. I'll be a purple belt for 3 years, and I'm the most calm going back to jiu-jitsu, and probably partially because of the injury. I'm the most calm in my jiu-jitsu than I've ever been. The most comfortable, the most calm. I don't go freaking crazy. I can, we learn some, like I do a lot of lockdown. So I'm totally comfortable with somebody. If you take me down, I can usually get that half guard or that lockdown. So I'm really comfortable there. I think that's part of it, but I don't go, I'm not a spazzy purple belt by any means, but I don't, it's not kill. So
you're going to become like that, the really old Chinese master, where he just grabs, like the guy throws a punch with all his might, and with 2 fingers he grabs him by the wrist and brings him down.
Yeah, that's where we all want to be. We always want to be just grab a thumb.
That's where we want
to be. But so you're back on the mats now. I noticed that, again, I saw a post. Is your son training with you now, or was that a wrestling video that you put up the other day? You got him into some wrestling?
Yeah, I got him into some wrestling. Yeah, he's doing some wrestling now. Introduction into that, and it's different than jiu-jitsu.
Oh yeah.
It is a hard sport. I mean, jiu-jitsu is hard, but there's a mental toughness that wrestling, and I wrestled in 7th and 8th grade, but I didn't do it in high school. I didn't do it after that. Just watching him, like, learning right now, like when you're, especially because it's a kind of a private lesson, it's just one-on-one. If you're in a group of 12 kids in a jiu-jitsu class, you can only herd the cats so much, right? I mean, there's a lot of grab ass and goofiness happening all over the place. Nothing you can do about it. It's just kids, right?
Yeah.
This one-on-one wrestling stuff's a little different. And there are, I don't want to, and the coach is like, well, you go sit there for 1 minute. I'll give you 1 minute. You figure it out, and you come back. You'll go and pout, and then he'll come back 12 seconds later. It's like, well, this sucks. I don't want to sit in the corner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's a mental, there's lessons in that for a kid that, I mean, those are lessons we all should learn at some point in our life.
Yeah.
Start learning them when you're 7.
Yeah.
Because it's about adversity. Like that's I think what the lesson is. It's how to cope with adversity, and we do get good at that in jiu-jitsu too. I mean, that's a part of being smashed and dealing with it, But the other dad is a real he's a coach for football and some other things, and his son looked at him and he just shook his head and said, I'm not coming to save you. You figure it out. And that's where you got it. These kids, what a wonderful lesson for them to learn at 7. So I'm glad he's doing that now, and I want him to do a lot of sports just to experiment and see what he can.
Is he doing jiu-jitsu as well though, or not yet?
He did it before the pandemic. We're gonna not bring him quite back yet, back quite yet, but we will soon. And he's asking every single day.
Yeah,
he loves, because it's fun.
Yeah.
Playing with and all that stuff. But like my favorite competition was the last one I did. It was in it was a year ago, January, and I went to Grappling Industries in Cleveland because my dad's there, and he had never seen me compete, and my son had never seen me compete. So I did a competition there with them watching, and I won my bracket. And after the last match, my son's standing there, and I'm about to raise my hand. I'm trying not. I was happy, but I wasn't trying to showboat or be like, whatever. My kid, he goes, "Yeah." I just reflexively look over there, and he's got this giant smile on his face, and he gives me the thumbs up, and I couldn't help but explode.
It's emotional,
you know what I mean?
Of course.
This is the whole reason, and it wasn't because I needed him to see me win. I needed him to see me try.
Yeah.
And that's a lesson that I try to talk to him all the time about. Is I don't care about if you win. I want you putting the work in.
Yeah.
And that's a fine line. I mean, of course we want to win. We want to teach competitiveness, but that's, especially for kids, I think you have to keep it fun, and you have to focus on the work, I think, more than results. Because if you only get focused on the results, man, I'm guilty of that too, just from my previous life when I was flying fighters. That is a super competitive environment, and if you're the number one guy, when the next assignment comes out, you get whatever you want that the Air Force has available.
We also Top Gun, we know.
I mean,
just kidding.
No, but that movie, which is not my favorite movie, but the competitive drive in those guys, that's something they get right, and that's a real thing. And you are ranked and graded from day one on how you do, and the number 2 guy gets to pick whatever's left, and there's always Mr. Irrelevant at the end, right? The NFL draft. The same thing in a fighter squadron. If it's your time to move and you're paired up with 12 different guys and you were the last one, you don't get the assignment you wanted. You don't get the good one. That's not something he has to learn how to deal with yet, but he can learn how to deal with adversity. So in these ways, so that when it's time for a lesson like that or time to cope with something like that, he has a tool set.
Do you have? You said you did wrestling for a couple of years. Do you? So did I. 8th and 9th. You said 7th and 8th. I did 8th and 9th. Yeah. Our 9th grade is in our junior high where I'm from. Even though it was considered, it's high school. It was physically in the junior high. It was actually 6 through 9 is housed in the same building. So that's the wrestling team. So do you kind of have some wrestling moves in your mental filing cabinet? Because I do. There are little things that I do. Do you kind of dip back into that? And how important do you think wrestling is in jiu-jitsu?
I don't have much, because it was 3 months in the winter and then 3 months in the winter, and then I didn't do it again.
Yeah.
So I don't have a ton, but there is I think in general with wrestling, my game, I don't like to have to play guard, but I do play guard when I have to because I'm little. So I end up on the bottom a lot. So I have to have a competent guard. But my intent at the beginning of every match, I don't care how big the guy is to take them down. And then to get on top, side control, stay on top, and bait them into giving up some of their back somehow so that I can work my way to the rest of their back and hold that position there or submit. It doesn't always work that way, but that's the blueprint that I'm trying to follow. I don't full guard. That's just not the way I do it, because I like how that dictates the turns. Immediately it says, this is how it's going to be. This is what you're going to have to beat. And if you can beat it, that's fine, but this is what you have to deal with. This is how I'm coming at you. And I think that there is probably a chunk of wrestling mentality that's in that thinking, because wrestling is a very, it's a battle of wills in a lot of ways. It's a very dominant, focused sport. Whereas in jiu-jitsu, you can play a very non-dominant game and just play guard and be exceptional at it.
Yeah.
And it works too.
That's why I think that's why I think it falls in very well into martial arts, because that's the art of it. To be able to gentle jiu-jitsu and still be...
Well, I mean, it's considered, right? We call it the gentle art for a reason, because you can be getting smashed and all of a sudden, boop, wrist lock or, again, toe hold. You get something
twist
quick
a
out of
pinky
nowhere.
finger.
No, we don't do that. I'm trying to get Bo on the mat so his references get better, and he stops talking about martial
biting
arts.
toe.
Jiu-jitsu, right? I got to get him on the mat. shaming him into it hasn't worked. You know?
Oh,
No.
really? That
So-
was
What about
gotta get him
what about a
into-
carrot? What about a carrot? Like, what can you give him? What is he like?
Yeah,
What is
right.
Bo like?
36,
I don't know if we
24,
want to say that.
36, 24, 35, blonde, about 5'10".
Oh, God.
Does jujitsu. She's a master.
Don't
I'm in.
keep him off the mats.
Yeah.
Don't
See?
even. Don't even.
The thing that
Except to like clean the mat.
the
maybe.
carrot that I can dangle, he's got plenty of it already. He's got his
Yeah,
medical.
thank you. I
He's got his
appreciate
medical
that.
card for it already. So,
Yeah. Okay.
like, other than that,
Wait a minute. What do you
yeah.
think? Sprinkle around
Yeah.
like catnip? You know?
Yeah. I gotta
Roll
get him.
around
So
in it?
we gotta get him on the mat. I'm gonna get him on the mat eventually. Actually, what I'm
Yeah.
thinking is actually when we move into the new house, we're gonna have some mats in the gym and
Okay.
mats in the garage, and
Yeah.
that's when I think I'm gonna be able to be like, hey, Bo, let me just show you some stuff.
You can figure it out there. Yeah.
Let's just show you
that's a
some
good idea.
stuff, and I think you know how you're either in or you're out. You're either gonna be like, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like this, or like, oh, show me more.
I
Okay.
told you I want to
You know?
learn
Yeah, this is cool.
takedowns.
I want to try this.
I want to. I
Some
told
more
you.
of that jiu-jitsu,
My
baby.
interest is takedowns. That's what I want to learn.
Okay,
is how to
we
take
got-
down a
we've got
guy
some of
that's
that.
2 or 3 times
Yeah.
my size.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
where I don't have that because, like I said, I can hit. That's not a problem. I definitely have strong hits, legs
We
and
love
and
guys that
arms.
say that, don't we?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
we
I know
TJ?
it's amazing.
But I
Yeah.
can't wrestle, or I can't wrestle or take down. That's where I'm weak.
All right.
And I know it's not about strength. I know it's about leveraging, but I don't know the art of
We're gonna get you on
leveraging.
the mat. We're gonna get you in there
Soon in crypto, but not on the mat.
I told him, I said, you know, I believe, I know his personality. I think that he's going to love it. I think that he's going to take to it so much that he's going to be one of those guys, like you said, like you were saying before, you've trained for 14 days and you train so much, then you got to like, now I got to take her. I believe he'll
Yeah.
be like that. That's what I
Yeah.
think, because I think that that's the one thing missing from his life, knowing him without going too deep into personal stuff. It's the one thing that I think is missing, is that outlet for him, because he's such a creative guy. And that's I know that's an outlet for him,
The only
but I
thing
think
missing
he's
is
missing that
beating
physical
people.
outlet, and he doesn't do that.
You know, it's interesting. I have friends that I have tried to introduce to jiu-jitsu, and I would say most people, they are either not interested,
Yeah.
or the few that I have introduced, that came to class, like, no.
I've
And I
never.
was every time I was surprised, because I really thought that this is a person that would be interested in the technical part of it, or whatever. I was just like,
I
No,
have
but you think
never
back to
brought
what-
someone in. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
you know, that's it. I just you think about what your first day was like, though, too, like the anxiety of it. How actually, when I first got back to the gym, like a couple weeks ago, the first day, there were times when I was tired and I wanted to quit in the middle of a round. I haven't felt that way in years, and my conditioning stayed reasonable throughout COVID. Okay, so I wasn't coming in like a mess. But that first day, I was like, man, I haven't felt that way since the beginning. But it reminded me of how that felt, where you're on the bottom and you almost want to tap because of the pressure, because you're tired. Like, this needs to end. And that panic sets in. And it was funny because as it was happening to me a couple weeks ago, I'm like, I have felt this before.
Yeah.
I know what I have to do. I just have to survive. I just have to endure this because it's going to stop. And that's a tool set we get, right? But I haven't had to think my way through that in a long time.
The art of stoicism,
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. 100%.
right?
It is. It is. So for me, in the beginning of my jiu-jitsu journey, my first coach was 265. He was probably he was under 5'10". He was shorter than me, and about 265. His game was smash and pass, stay on top, get on top, stay on top. Now, just coincidentally, I found this on my own. I just wound up getting this position and won my first white belt tournament by doing a north-south. I've actually won a few of them. But before I knew what north-south was, I mean literally laying on somebody's face, TJ, and they tapped from it. I really put my stomach on their face. And actually, I kind of do it as a joke to some guys now. I can maneuver their face and then just put it all the weight down.
Yeah.
Put the gut down on their
The
face.
Milton
and they tap.
muffle.
But for me, it's takedown, or in the gym, I'll usually, again, because I'm a bigger guy, I'll let them attack. So it's usually kind of sweep most of the time from like some type of lockdown or half guard.
Mm-hmm.
get to side control and then go north-south. I don't do a lot of back takes. I don't do a lot of mount. I'm almost always trying to, because there's a small series that I can do. If I don't get the north-south, then there's a way to kind of come up. You've got their arm locked, and you're like laying next to them. Their face is under your arm, and you just lift up on their elbow, and there's a lock there, like a shoulder lock. So for me, it's my wrestling. When I do takedowns or I get somebody maybe in turtle, there's some like wrestling moves, just kind of the way you hold the body, or like I can literally I put my hands under somebody's, one under their, like over their chest, or if they're in turtle, under their arms across their chest, and grab both of their arms and like take it out. Just like some just wrestling maneuvers that I remember that I used to do I've carried over. So not a lot of technical. I sucked at wrestling. I was you do 2 years of wrestling. How great are you going to be? So it wasn't the greatest, but it did help me in my jiu-jitsu, especially in the beginning when I was that spazzy guy. I was like, well, I know how to take somebody down. I know how to do a double leg. I know how to kind of keep you down and pin you. So that helped me. And that's why I think that mindset from the beginning of my jiu-jitsu journey was what has led me to just, well, I like this smash. I like to stay on top. No, keep his back on the ground. I don't want to lift him up. I don't want to take his back. I don't want to be behind him. I just, smash and pass. So that's the way that's kind of my workflow. But at the same time, I mean, just, again, the longer you do it, depending on who you're rolling with, you kind of feel comfortable from everywhere. And it is fun for me to, again, feeling more comfortable in my jiu-jitsu. I do like to, I'll put myself in a bad position. I'll let somebody kind of get my back, like let me work out of it. I have a training partner that'll be like, come on, move. And I'm like, what do you mean move? I'm waiting for you to make a mistake. I'm waiting for you move. I'm waiting for you to make a mistake so that I can pick something up.
Like do something. Yeah.
He's actually, I believe he's a judo brown belt, and now he's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. And, like if he gets me inside control, I just I have to wait him out a little bit, because it's just it's a battle of wills at that point. It's like neither one of us can move. Yeah. We're both waiting for the other guy to make a mistake. So I might go to my side, but sometimes he'll tell me, he's like, come on, move. Oh, let's move. And I'm like, no, God, you can move, because I want to get what
after
you're waiting. You want to catch me, I want to catch you. Like, you see how this works?
No, after you. I insist.
You said before, TJ, you all joking aside, you text me that you're like, oh, I got time for an Epsom salt bath. Is that something that you do a lot? Is that like part of a recovery thing that you do? Or
it is, yeah, I do.
Because like I'm big on the recovery devices. I've got
magnesium.
I've got
baby.
the back massager. I've got the Chirp. I've got the So Right. I just bought an inversion board. Cold showers after I train are the best. Straight up cold shower, because I can't do I know, right?
Can't do it.
Here's the trick.
Magnesium is magical.
Here's the trick. I start it warm, bearable, where I go in like I would normally go in for a shower, because I don't do it only after training. Immediately after training, if I can shower, it's cold. Start it warm, and then I just slowly move it to cold.
The reverse frog.
And thing. Then, I mean, it gets to points where you're just like, oh my God, this is so freaking cold. But honestly, I've got get a lot of neck pain, and that neck pain will cause headaches, especially if it comes from training. And I do that, I'm usually pretty good. And again, then, the massage guns and stuff like that. But all I did was I'm like, see everybody taking these ice baths. Well, I'm not going to fill my tub with ice. Well, what if I just did a cold shower? And it started to work for me. So I just kind of do that as a default, especially if it's, again, right after training. When I wake up in the morning, it's usually a hot shower, kind of get the muscle stretching. But if I'm coming right from jiu-jitsu, I almost always jump in that shower and do a cold. What else do you do for recovery?
I have 2 of those little Hyperice balls, those massage balls.
Yeah.
That I use, and then I get a massage too. Like I don't get a relaxing massage. I get the kind where they just go in there, they break up the fascia and rebalancing. Even when I lift, I lift for like a therapeutic lift. You know what I mean? To rebalance muscles, to work the stuff that's getting neglected because you know what I mean? Maintenance. Lifting for me is a required function, but it's a maintenance function. The only thing that I haven't started yet that I want to, haven't made time for it, would be yoga. Because I keep hearing from guys, like there's a black book, all kinds of guys that they get into it, like, man, this was huge.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it has that overuse injury to balance things out, because that's what I will get is over. I haven't had a catastrophic injury yet, that some people are unfortunate enough to endure. I absolutely
agree with the yoga. I actually, before I did jiu-jitsu, the P90X videos?
Mm-hmm.
Remember those videos?
Yeah.
There was a series of videos. On one of them was a yoga. One was a yoga video, and then at the end it was called Yoga Belly. So like they did like kind of like ab related yoga workouts. So did I say jujitsu? I said it was yoga. It was a yoga video. Yoga video with yoga, so like an ab workout at the end. Like the yoga was like over an hour, and then like it was called Yoga Belly was like another 20 minutes. Like it was like the longest video they had. So I used to do those. I had a buddy lend them to me. It was great. Loved the whole series of workout series. But that yoga, I carry that over, just like the little parts, more for the stretching side. I definitely don't do it like I should be, like really getting to a good yoga class. I've done it for relaxation. I've pulled up videos on YouTube. I keep on seeing, there's a guy, BJJ for yoga. Or yoga for BJJ, excuse me. Yoga for BJJ.
I have seen that. I've seen that.
I see him a lot, and I'm like, I see it, and I see some of his videos of movement, and I'm like, I gotta do that. That's where I need to be. Agree with you that I should, but I just haven't gotten there. But I've done all these other devices as kind of my methods of recovery.
There's another component to this though, to recovery, and it's almost like pre-workout thinking, or when you do jiu-jitsu, especially if you want to compete, you usually start making different habit decisions too. Like maybe you drink a little less, maybe you sleep a little more, maybe your nutrition improves a little bit. So that's what's so incredible. You will change your own life around the sport.
I agree.
So like working go ahead.
With the veterans, these guys that we're sponsoring, that some of them come in a place that they're not in a great place, and that's honestly exactly the people we're trying to find.
Yeah.
And then you see the changes they make, and the weight loss, and the things they find, the sense of purpose again. All the So I talk about like 5 different things that I think is a great way. It's a great way to break down jiu-jitsu. Why does jiu-jitsu work as a therapy for veterans? Like I have 5 components to it. I don't know if I've talked to you about these offline or before. I'm not going to go into all of them, but there's fitness is one of them. Touch is one of them. Structure is one of them. Community is one of them. And the last one is achievement. And it's all those pieces where you find that sense of purpose again, because you start making changes to get good at something. You have a goal. You want to improve. You want to be in there for the long haul. And that stuff's easier when you show discipline, you make changes, and the results are very much there. And everybody can see them. Your friends that don't do jiu-jitsu will see them too. Things that are noticeable. And I think that that's a component of recovery too. You take better care of yourself. Not just intentionally, like with I am trying to fix my back. It's I'm trying to be better. And I don't know many other activities that inspire that the way jiu-jitsu does.
You're great. And we're not seasonal. This is year round for us. This isn't like, you mentioned before, like wrestling was 3 months out of the year, right? I mean, this is for us, in our world, this is year round. Doesn't matter what the weather is outside. Maybe some people won't go when it's raining or it's icy out of the snow. I get that. I know for, down here in Florida, I mean, it's 365. We want to get there as much as possible. I don't know about you. I'm real lucky to be at a gym where it's open 7 days a week. We train.
Yeah, we open mats. We have boxing and CrossFit. The guy who owns it, his name is Jeremy Clark. He is a strength and conditioning coach, or I think he's a technically player development coach. I probably have the titles a little bit wrong, but in the LA Kings organization.
Okay.
And he does a lot with the Ontario Reign. So he understands professional athletes and that regime. And he's got boxing guys that compete at a very high level. And we've got people in our gym that have won PANs, won Worlds, and been on the podiums in those competitions, and we're still kind of young. Our main affiliate that's down the road, M Theory, that we're associated with, we have their instructors, their black belts. That place, Ishmael Bentley there, it's Pedro Sauer affiliation. That guy builds black belts and champions. it's incredible what that program has become. And so we're like the little kid, you know what I mean? It's just 30 minutes down the road. And we train there too, you know? But Jeremy being able to look at different programs and different affiliations and having that professional athlete pedigree, he can sniff out, what do I want my guys? Everybody from the average, you know, 1 or 2 times a week that is doing it because it's fun, to the people who want to be a world champion. He has all of those mentalities in his gym, and he knows how to sniff out, how do I balance this right to get the person the experience they want in this gym, you know? And so I'm super thankful to be involved in that program, because, and like I said, having a guy like that with that kind of pedigree, and they won the Stanley Cup when he was on the coaching staff at least once, maybe twice. It's awesome. And here I am, like some 5'8", 155-pound guy. Like there's title-holding MMA fighters that come and train. There's guys that are doing jiu-jitsu that have retired from fighting, Bellator guys. That, how do I get to be in the same room as them?
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm as good. I don't have to be. But there's this, they are willing to accept me into that environment that from the outside, I'm like, man, those guys are on TV. Like, you know what, that's, and I get to be a part of that family. Yeah. Just because I put the work in.
It's real interesting down, like, you know, for us down here, you know, the next like one town over is Coconut Creek. It's American Top Team. We actually have had, they're closed to the public, but their pros are able to change. So their regular program for kids and adults that, you know, aren't pros is shut down right now. So we've had actual students coming into the gym. But in the past, you know, we've had ex-UFC fighters come in. I've got the current Titan FC champion that was on one of the shows recently. He comes in to train once in a while. He'll do an open mat because he's friends with Miguel, one of our co-hosts here. So it is really amazing. You know, with the all we need is that jiu-jitsu connection, right?
Yeah.
You know, we have that jiu-jitsu connection, and probably I think that like a boxer, we have a better connection to an MMA guy than a boxer does have to an MMA guy, because the jiu-jitsu world is just completely different. There's this brotherhood in jiu-jitsu that is where I kind of sense that we're probably like the most active on social media. You know, we're again, that brotherhood is there. You can go to any gym and train anywhere in the world. Hey, they might charge you, but you're pretty much welcome. Bring your gi and you're welcome. You know, at least for me, I've never seen this, and I've never heard anybody talk about this in that way, any other sport in that way. There's just something different about jiu-jitsu. And maybe it's because we're literally, you know, or figuratively killing each other. We could, if I held that choke longer, I could kill you. If I held that arm a little bit longer, I could break it.
I know you
but
want
there's
to.
that element of trust. There's just this element of what we're doing to each other. That's just like, okay, if you're doing jiu-jitsu and you're okay in that gym, I know that you're an okay guy. And jiu-jitsu really kind of cleans out the a-holes. Right, you're not going to last if you're an asshole and you're at a gym. You're not going to last in a jiu-jitsu gym because you get weeded out pretty quickly. They're either going to ask you to leave, or people are just going to, you know, really try to hurt you.
Or you're not going to have fun.
Yeah,
you're not going to fit.
Yeah,
and a lot of times those people don't come back.
And I guess that's where like the brotherhood comes in, right? Like, you know, a lot of veterans talk about. You know, I think that might have been was that on your list of the 5 things, like that community and brotherhood that jiu-jitsu brings? It's such a good fit for the veteran community because of that. Because it really, I've told stories about being on the mat, going to train, I'm stretching, group of veterans, we start talking, and we never train. In my first gym, that happened more than a couple of times because my coach was part of a PTSD group, and he had guys coming in, he gave them free jiu-jitsu, and there'd be days that those guys would come in, we'd start talking, they'd start telling like literal war stories, and, you know, maybe we'd smell like a guy we knew had been drinking, and we knew like he needs to talk. He's here because he doesn't need the jiu-jitsu today. He needs to talk. Mm-hmm. And we'd sit in a circle, and we wouldn't train, and we'd be sitting there for hours talking. You know, I really, you know, kind of never understood that until I saw it. And that does actually lead me to a question that I've been itching to ask. I mean, you're the perfect guy to ask. Why why do veterans, and I'm not asking this question in a bad way, whatever, I want to understand the mindset. Why do veterans tend to stay away, especially when they first come back or first, come out of the military? Why do they feel like they need to stay away from civilians? Or what is it about that? Tell me, do you understand what I'm asking, right?
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of components to it. I'm not going to touch them all, but I'm going to hit some of them. A lot of times veterans come back with a trust deficit.
Okay.
That's if they, especially ones that have been deployed in Iraq or Afghanistan, because when you're there, the only people you can trust are the people that you deployed with, the people that you are in your unit, the people you're operating with. Every single other human being is a potential threat. I mean, a good friend of mine, Dave Broder, went to the academy together. We were F-16 pilots. We didn't fly together, but we were. I say good friend. We were acquaintances after the academy, but we'd see each other once in a while. And there was a news. It was on the news years ago now, where one of the Afghani nationals came to a meeting and shot up the room.
Oh boy!
And that was all over the news. And that was Dave. You can't trust people. You can trust the people you can trust.
Mm-hmm.
So when you leave the military, especially after a series of combat deployments, you have a trust deficit oftentimes. And it's difficult to be willing to invest in civilians. And it's a problem because it leads to isolation. And isolation kills.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It does. We know that from lockdown. We know that from the mental health consequences of what we all endured this year as a world, not just in the military, community. So I think that's a major part of it, is not being willing to trust. And now if you are dealing with anxiety or depression, PTSD, you have a whole other slew of things you have to cope with. They're uncomfortable. And sometimes interacting with people is not pleasant. So there are a lot of barriers to getting into a community again. And that's why one of the reasons why the community of jiu-jitsu is so important for them to be involved in, because everybody has a story. Everyone's dealing with something. But when you come from the military, you don't necessarily want to get to know everyone else's stories. You're usually, when we're dealing with those sorts of things, I don't just mean veterans, I mean people in general, anxiety, depression, we become very self-concerned because in a way we're trying to protect ourselves, especially with anxiety. Your fight or flight system is always on. You're hyper vigilant. Your body is in a physiological mode of defense. You're not going to be open. And jiu-jitsu introduces an environment where openness is organic.
Mm-hmm.
It just happens, right? So in answering the question of why do veterans avoid civilians or civilian society or culture, I offer that as a bit of an answer, but then jiu-jitsu is the medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the way it causes you to interact. And the other thing that makes jiu-jitsu really important and special, I don't know if I talked to you about this. I already went through my five. My second one, touch. It has a leg up on every other activity I can think of because of touch, because of how you bond with people. It's the same chemicals in your body that happen when you touch your son's face, or you hold their hand when you pick them up at school. Endorphins. And when they grow up and they don't want you to do it anymore and it crushes you.
Yeah.
But you is like, I know it's okay because it's time. But it doesn't make it feel any less bad.
Stop touching me.
Right? Yeah. There's something in jiu-jitsu about that touch. And there's even been studies that have been done that say, if you, that doctors and nurses who touch their patients have better health outcomes for those patients.
Wow.
It is incredibly important. And in our culture, there's almost a taboo on it.
Yeah.
In Western culture. It's much less of a thing in Middle Eastern cultures and Asian cultures. But it's incredibly important to recovery. And now we'll take it a step further. What about a military sexual trauma? That is a very difficult subject to deal with, with touch. And you have to figure out how does an individual navigate these things. But in jiu-jitsu, when you become more and more comfortable with it over time, it is a therapeutic process. And that's why with We Defy, we're not just trying to put veterans on mats. We're advocating for jiu-jitsu as a viable therapy for these individuals. Like, not just talk therapy, not just going to see the psychologist, not the drugs, not the antidepressants, not the surgery. Those could be all parts of the picture. But this is a viable therapy that may be better in some ways than some of the other options. It's real. And that's something we're trying to bring up too. That we're maybe not thought of as the first thing that comes to your mind, but it should be in the conversation because it's that powerful and it works. And I can show you who it worked for.
As a civilian myself, when I'm in a group of veterans, sometimes I'm like, hold on a place here. I'm like, I don't know, I don't know those feelings that they have, but I do have the jiu-jitsu. If I'm in a group of veterans and they're jiu-jitsu guys, the jiu-jitsu that's the thing that connects us and bonds us. For the average civilian, what advice could you give to like the average civilian though? That's not in necessarily like my world or in the world of jiu-jitsu. How can they do anything to help, or is it just like you can't? Is there a way for them? Are there things that they could do differently to help a veteran kind of come back into that regular civilian life, or is it really just completely on the veteran?
That's a really good question. I don't have a good answer for it.
I've had veterans say, I hate when somebody says thank you for your service. I've had a veteran say that. It's like, I hate that. What are you saying thank you for? What do you know what you're thanking me for? I've had that.
He's got a bit of a point, though.
He's got a point. I've had that. And then I've had people say, no, I like it. It's nice.
People like to jump on the bandwagon of statements and think, you remember to say, thank you for your service. But do you really know what the hell it means?
I actually stopped saying it. I don't go out of my way to say it because of that feeling. Like I said, oh, man, what if they...
it comes off the wrong way.
Yeah. Like how would they get react after I heard that reaction? How is it going to come off? So again, usually when I am amongst veterans, it's usually again in the context of jiu-jitsu. So again, that that brings us together. So it's just I'm just going to talk about jiu-jitsu.
Well, I think that's. I don't have a good answer about the civilian side of it, but we're all personally responsible. We're personally responsible for ourselves. Mm-hmm. So it is on those veterans to find a way.
Yeah.
And we want to help each other do that. But ultimately, like, we don't put these guys in gyms so that they can do jiu-jitsu and just feel better. We're putting them in jiu-jitsu gyms to do the hard work to get better. It is on them. We have to respect that each one is gonna have their own feelings on that issue. But I think that what you already said, that bond of jiu-jitsu is exactly what teaches a lot of these veterans. There may be some differences in life experiences, but everybody has a story.
Yeah.
You start to learn them because you're engaged with them doing these other things that involve touch and fitness and trust building in terms of the tap. Because when in a war, the only way you stop an attack is to kill the attacker or creating a contextual element that makes it seem like a really bad idea for them to continue. Mm-hmm. In jiu-jitsu, you tap when you're ready to, and the attack stops. That builds trust. Mm-hmm. And that's something that you can't get from another activity very easily. Not a recreational one, not many of them.
Mm-hmm. I know.
So that, and I've had veterans talk about that. I've had them say that tap is how I learned to trust again. And nobody has the same story. Nobody gets all the same benefits in all the same amounts.
That's super profound, though, to think about that. How to bridge, because trust is the hardest thing to earn back.
Mm.
Yeah.
To gain back. So it's through such a simple little thing as that tap. I don't know. I'm just sitting here listening, and it's kind of blowing my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been in a position where, I mean, I might have seen a fight on TV, a UFC fight, where somebody taps and the guy holds it a little bit longer. Wait. Well, in UFC, sometimes it's you're being a dick, and sometimes it's I'm waiting for the ref to stop it, because you don't just stop from the tap, you stop from the ref. Some guys, because they want to make sure, like, I don't want the ref to miss that tap.
Yeah.
And then they say keep on fighting, which has happened, right? It's no, wait for the ref. The ref has got to see. So TJ, in the context, kind of, okay, what is We Defy going to be doing different this year? What new things are you going to be launching? If any of you can kind of cue us in on some of the things that you'll be doing differently, so that we can get more veterans into this situation. What are you doing? Hey, what can we be doing? I've always told you guys, this is a sounding board for you guys. Mm-hmm. You guys come on whatever you want. Just let me know. We'll set it up. I love having these conversations. I learn so much. And just, again, part of what we want to do is, the podcast is kind of like the ambassador here. It's like, hey, we could put out a 2-hour conversation about PTSD and how you guys are helping and, wounded combat veterans. And I don't think that we didn't really today, and we probably should before we end everything today, is can you kind of describe we'll start with your mission statement, because we didn't say exactly what We Defy does for somebody who's learning about We Defy for the first time. So why don't I let you do that?
Okay. Well, a great way to learn about us is to go on our website, wedefyfoundation.org, and it has all the verbiage, that tells our story. But basically we're a nonprofit that sponsors disabled combat veterans to do jiu-jitsu as a therapy. Mm-hmm. We pay for their tuition for a year. We pay for 2 uniforms, and we put them in a gym that we've looked at, that we've reached out to, or has reached out to us about partnership, and that we've vetted to say this is a place that we trust to do this. Mm-hmm. I think what we're going to see this year is we're going to double down on ambassadors and what we're going to let them do for us, because they keep proving how successful that initiative is and how important it is for what we're doing. 84% of our taxes aren't done for 2020. 2019, 84% of the money spent by the foundation was scholarship or GEs, stuff to put the vets directly on the mats. The other 16% was basically overhead. For a nonprofit, that's astounding. And the reason it's like that is because I'm a volunteer, and the president and the board, they have to be volunteers, but we could have a director of operations that we paid. We don't. We have ambassadors doing administrative duties for us that you could pay someone to do. But we don't, because we want the money to go to the veterans. Mm-hmm. That is integral to how we operate and to our growth, because not only do they execute cheaply because they don't cost a lot, but they bring in funds at all these events. So I think you'll continue to see teams that we'll put together. Like, we have a design team now that helps with our gear. We have a development team that looks at the big initiatives. Like, I expect we'll probably have a gala again this year. Memorial Day and Veterans Day, we always have big nationwide pushes where we ask all of our gyms to participate in open rolls. We did a ruck for Veterans Day because we couldn't do much rolling, or as much in the past. So we raised like $45,000, and that was with people outside jiu-jitsu doing their own runs and rucks and videotaping and putting it on social media and running Facebook fundraisers and things like that. Mm-hmm. I think
you had a real successful. Let me jump in. You had a real successful campaign that you did, right? That was around your birthday.
Yeah,
it was really nice.
It was accidental. I did a birthday fundraiser for We Defy, and I told a story about my best friend who killed himself, and that I just did it because maybe this will mean something to people. Maybe it'll generate a little bit of compassion, but it generated a lot more than I expected.
Mm-hmm.
And before long, we met the first goal, and then we met another goal, and I just kept upping the goal. And then I started like, why don't I just make this thing for like a 4th of July? And then we started bringing, hey, ambassadors, can you invite your friends in this thing? And I don't remember how much exactly I raised with that one fundraiser. And we've had other guys do other similar fundraisers. I don't have the data pulled up right now, but it was something like $7,000 or close to.
Wow.
On Facebook.
That was this past June and July.
That was in June and July.
And you were able to raise that money.
People were still generous.
Yeah.
All the hurt the world was going through, and people were still being generous.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't know what that was going to be like last year.
Yeah.
And look what happened. You know, people, it's almost that we were so out of our own routines that we were compelled to care for other people. I think because we all saw some of ourselves in our own struggles, our own suffering. We all suffered. So we wanted to help other people maybe not suffer so much too. You know, it's like the silver lining of that craptastic year.
Wow.
Awesome year.
So more ambassadors. Anything? And you said you might be doing the gala. Like obviously with the pandemic, it might be.
I expect we will. We're looking at it now. We want to find ways to get together, physically.
Yeah.
When we had it, we were going to make that a plan of 2020. That was one of our big intentions because the gala showed us how important it was for us. We're all over the country to get together when we can to build that team. So we're going to do that this year. And we're going to find creative ways to start doing it. We have like a team in San Diego that has athletes and ambassadors that are getting together and rolling and doing stuff, you know, creating a little pocket of a We Defy San Diego type identity. You know, there's places where this is just this amazing organic stuff that I can't plan or envision. It just happens. And I think it's from getting together. Like I'm in Minneapolis in a couple of weeks, we're going to have the Minneapolis ambassador team over here on my house just to get together. Travis, the president in Tucson, did it a little bit ago with the Arizona guys. You know, it's important, especially because we're so dispersed. We need to generate opportunities for us to be together because I think you'll see the results organizationally and operationally, like success-wise.
Have you ever? And again,
that's a focus.
I'm spitballing here. This may not be the right time, but I do. In the back of my mind, I'm always thinking about Tap Cancer Out and how they started, and it was about raising money, and then the tournaments came later. Has that ever been something that you guys have thought about? You know, having your own or hosting your own tournament. I know that's a behemoth of a project or something that has to be maintained. But has that ever been something that's come up?
It hasn't. It's not in our model right now. I think there's benefits and negatives to those kinds of operations, and I don't know how they do it and what their balance sheet looks like.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that when I think about those things, I think about insurance. I think about all the cost that goes into it, and now you've got it's a risk, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about that first gala, big risk, paid off huge.
Yeah.
But what the model we found is, if somebody want like Grappling Industries, they'll let us have access to their sort of thing. You know what I mean? What Nick's doing with Warriors Last Adventure, like he's giving us access to his story and to what he's going to do, bouncing around the country for 50 days, interviewing athletes, gym owners.
He's coming to our gym. He's coming to my gym. I hope the owner of my gym, Professor, and he'll be coming down. I'm excited to see him.
The model we're using is more of a partnership-based model.
Yeah.
And I don't see that. We're talking about that 84%, right? 84% of that money, I want to keep it there.
Yeah.
You know, I think Travis has said this too. This is a beautiful statement. And it's a little bit of a sidebar, but I think if this thing gets so big that I can't be the vice president anymore because I don't have the skill set, it'd be easy to say I failed. I think we're primed for that kind of thinking. We couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't hack it. Travis said this, like, when the foundation is too big, that will be the greatest measure of success.
Did you see my head turn? I'm like, no, that's like, that would be the most awesome thing that could ever happen, is that it's become so big that you need to bring in bigger guns.
Bigger guns, right?
Yeah. I mean, that would be amazing, you know?
But now at the same time, like the bigger guns
want the money.
Of course. You know, so
that's where that 84% spend, you don't want it to ever flip to 16.
How do you, and I'm not saying that these professionals that come in are only motivated by money. What I'm saying is
that's what it takes.
It may cost something to go to the next level.
Yeah.
And we're not there. So like these are the kinds of things that I wonder about for the future. Like what will that look like? You know?
Well, you know, I forget where. I'm sure you've heard this before, especially being in the military. You know, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're probably in the wrong room, right? You know, I've heard that. You know, it's kind of, you know, if you're the toughest guy in your gym, you're in the wrong gym, right? If you're the toughest guy and you're not getting your ass kicked on that mat, you're probably not. You're not learning as much as the guy's asses you're kicking, right? So, I think that's important. I sent you. I'm almost positive, and I might have sent it to Kevin. I'm almost positive I sent it to you as well. Did you get a text from me about classy.org? Do you know who classy.org is? Oh God, you need to know who these.
No. Okay.
That's the platform that you've got to look at this. This is. Okay. I feel. I started to use it for the foundation. We're a little too small to use it for what it's intended to be used for. But for We Defy, it is how Tap Cancer Out sets up. You know their platform at least, right? Somebody puts out a page. I'm raising money. If I raise this much, I get to go into the tournament for free, and I might get some swag. I might I raise $2,000, I get a bag. I raise this, I get a T-shirt, right? That's a platform called classy.org. It just so happens I forget his name, the guy that runs Tap Cancer Out, and I should know it because he helped us out the other day. But it's his friend created classy.org, so he knew about it. All right, so it was just all coincidental. Tap Cancer Out was born from him going to like a gala, a classy.org gala where they were celebrating some milestones. But anyway, it allows. Think of what you've done on Facebook, right, where anyone can set up a money raise. Well, that allows you to do that and really be able to scale it up. I think it is the perfect platform for you guys because think about the tools that are associated with being able to share it go beyond what Instagram and Facebook allow you to do. Let's put it that way. But that's what everybody does for Tap Cancer Out. You're setting up a page. You don't see the classy.org. They're at a point where they're a type of, I would call it like an enterprise edition of the platform. You know, it says tapcancerout.com / but you could just have the classy.org and then / We Defy, start there. And basically people can go in and you can do like July 4th event. People just set up a page for July 4th. There could be like an event going. There could be a tournament that's coming up. You can have all these different types of campaigns running where he doesn't, Tap Cancer Out, he told me on the podcast, I don't raise any money. I don't go ask people for money. I don't go raise money. We do the tournaments and people are raising the money for us. People are raising the money to get into it. That's where the money's coming from. Okay. So I know that I sent one of you guys a text. It might have been Kevin because I think it was after the podcast.
Kevin, that would be Kevin, with the development. He's the director of development. Kevin
I think Linderman. It was after the podcast when we had them on. Yeah. We had the three of them on. You got to look at this. I think that it would be a game changer at you guys in being able to scale up money raising and raise money in a different way. And look, it doesn't have to be a tournament. It could be, Memorial Day. Right, July 4th, like those events where people feel very patriotic, where you do something that the young lady who did the run, what was it, the 4x4 by I forget what it was called.
4x4 by 48, which was another one of those that blew up on Facebook and they raised like $8,000.
Now imagine everybody like a whole because I think it's just a little bit different than Facebook. I mean, I know people. Okay, well, you could do it on Facebook, but just the way that it would allow you to scale it up, I think is something that guys should look at. The bottom. Put it this way, the like bottom rung of the programs, it was like $39 a month. It's like really cheap, but what you can get back from it would be amazing. We raised a little bit of money through it.
Yeah.
We got away from it for a very specific reason. We're not big enough. We don't have that audience of people that want to raise. So for us, the Facebook and Instagram models work. We went back to GoFundMe you have GoFundMe? that anybody can raise money, and then there's a nonprofit GoFundMe. So we are now doing it through the nonprofit GoFundMe. Charity.GoFundMe is essentially the platform. So anyway, so yeah, I've been dying. I forget. Again, I probably sent it to Kevin. I wanted to mention that to you for the longest time, and I think that would be very useful for you guys. So, so anyway, look, let's get into some listener questions here. And I think you know a lot of these guys, so they because
possible.
So let's get the Top Gun references out of the way. So Ryan Veld, you know Ryan Veld? Yeah. He said, "What's it like to be inverted over an enemy MiG-28 doing a 4G negative dive?"
Ryan's funny.
Frankly,
because
I want to know too.
Ryan used to be a maintenance guy on F-16.
Oh yeah.
Oh cool.
So when we get in an airplane, it wasn't working right.
It's on him.
It's on him.
Yeah.
So
no beer for you later.
That is not an approved or good idea or
something that ever happens.
Okay.
Don't do it.
No. Like you ever see, did you see the movie Flight?
No.
With
Denzel Washington.
Oh no, yes, I haven't seen it. The one where he goes upside down, right?
He flies upside down.
Yeah,
phenomenal movie about addiction. Terrible movie about aviation.
Yeah.
Top Gun is a phenomenal movie about the fighter pilot culture.
Yeah.
It's a terrible movie about flying.
Yeah, really? Oh wow.
I mean that's I'm a doctor watching ER, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
okay.
Sure.
But
yeah.
So
I mean that's the way. Again, I tell people like they send me like martial art movie links.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't really like it. That doesn't happen. Yeah. It doesn't happen. Like he just missed him. He didn't really hit his face. The guy's flying back.
It's not real.
We can't run up in the air up a tree. We can't fly.
You can't do that. I can do that.
I just don't take to most of that stuff.
I can tell you what looks awesome though is the trailers for Top Gun 2 because those aviation scenes, I've never seen anything shot that way before.
Yeah.
It looks good.
Yeah.
There's one scene where you like in the trailers where he blows through between two airplanes that are close. There's no way. Okay. But a lot of the other scenes that they're showing, like that is what it is. That's what it feels like and looks like in the cockpit. I mean,
wow.
Geez, you can't act that stuff. You have to put people in there and do it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see, even if it's a horrible movie, I can't wait to see the flying scenes because that's the closest thing I've ever seen on footage.
Nice.
Cool.
What it was like.
So Ryan had there's a second part to Ryan's question.
Mm-hmm.
He said, ask TJ if he was ever cleared to buzz the tower. Is that even a thing?
Not a thing.
That's
not
even a thing?
No.
If somebody, I mean, literally, like you just wouldn't do it. I mean, would anybody like because they did it twice, right? It was once on land and once on the ship in the movie.
What happened when they did that in the movie?
Everything just freaking shook.
Broke.
I mean, right?
They got in big trouble.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, you'd probably you'd be grounded, right? You would say you'd be grounded.
Yeah, because in a movie there's no consequences.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. We had to get those out of the way.
I wish they were sexier answers. But.
Yeah. Right. I think that's what everybody thinks. It's like, guys, like I know we talked about it a little last time. You were like. What did you tell me? You said something along the lines. I'm like, oh man, fire pilot, man. You know something about girls, and you were like, yeah, no girl was ever interested that I flew. Never worked. Was never a pickup line.
I think what I told you is ugly is still ugly.
Moving on.
Hey, I know about that, mate.
That's why we don't have a camera on Bo.
Of course. That's why we have no broken cameras.
And you might have answered this one, but I think we might have talked about this, or you might have answered it on Instagram. Do you see the We Defy Foundation expanding to benefit military members from other countries?
You know, I don't think so. But there are other organizations that are based on our model, and there are ones that we've worked with. Alan Shabaro, who's one of the founders, is still actively helping. He's got special forces connections all over the world, and he's an amazing person. And he looks, I mean, he walks in a room, the room stops. He's just a huge Hulk of a human.
Yeah,
4th degree black belt. And sometimes when I talk about him, it's because he's so physically present. I say he's terrifying, but I don't know that that's the right word. I'm trying to figure out another way to explain him. He is a force. And if you know what he did with the Green Berets, and you know what he, you think about, okay, he must have been a badass tactician and a guy in the mud. And yeah, but those guys are brilliant academically. You don't just get that because you're good at it being a soldier. Mm-hmm. You have to hit so many notes to have a job like that, to get to be the kind of operator that he was. So he's just an incredible.
You ever get to roll with him?
Being. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, he told me I was doing a lot of collar drags. He's like, TJ, you're too old for that. Just do this. And he taught me how to do a foot sweep. Now I do it all the time.
Yeah.
And the first time I hit one, I sent him the
yeah.
the video. But anyway, he's still actively engaged overseas to help other countries like the UK with reorg. Yeah. And there's a new stand-up in Australia called Veterans Grappling. Those guys were all connected to each other. I've seen
Veterans Grappling. I know that one.
We're all connected to each other. And that's still because Alan's like, so if the ambassadors are the appendages of We Defy, and the current board is kind of the brain, Alan and Joey, the founders, are still the heart.
Okay. And
they're still there, and they're still beating. And you don't always see it, but they're still taking care of business.
Well put. I like that. All right, so we have another one now. This is the one you sent me the image on, and I wasn't able to see. It looks like he commented directly to you. Is it Brian Artiles at DocNasty8? Is that somebody that you know? You sent me a snapshot of this. Do you actually know him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Well, not just through virtual emails and things like that. He's one of our scholarships.
Okay. He said, "Do you have any other hobbies outside of BJJ? How do you try to balance these hobbies?"
I play. I'm a nerd, so I play Elder Scrolls online. But I don't get to play it as much.
Is that like a Dungeons and Dragons kind of thing?
I think so.
Yeah, just go with that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Wait, it's Zelda. Zelda.
Oh,
It's more like Zelda, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's all in that same
in that world
genre of nerd.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I do game. I usually, a lot of times when I get up in the morning, I get up early. I don't sleep a ton. I'm like a 6.5 to 7 hour guy most nights. So I get up and make coffee, and then I start playing games until it's time to get the kid up. So I'll play an hour a day, sometimes at night before bed. But it's not easy. And I'm fortunate. I already said this before because I have an employment situation where I do have a lot of free time. Mm-hmm. So I don't have to juggle as hard because of the free time. But still coming in here doing this on a weekend, doing the podcast, doing appearances. I was recording another podcast for about 3 hours the other night, and their wife's got stuff to do too, right? So it can't just always be about me.
Yeah.
There do have to be limits. And you navigate it as best you can, and there's no formula I can say this is how we do it. But if it goes too far, if you're in a relationship, you get brought back to this is where it needs to be, and that's okay.
I'm taking my wife to dinner after the podcast.
Yeah. Well, but
because I love her so much.
Our aunt and uncle are coming over for the first time in a year because they're vaccinated, and they play grandparent to my son. Yeah. And they're gonna be here in a little bit, and we haven't seen them in a year. Yeah. So it's how do you got to balance it, and you got to listen to your partner.
Yeah. So for my answer to Brian, if my hobbies outside of jiu-jitsu is more jiu-jitsu. So it's the foundation, jiu-jitsu, the podcast, jiu-jitsu, the t-shirt site, jiu-jitsu. So that it's just more jiu-jitsu. But, there's kind of, it's different parts of my brain being used in those other things. So I do think that you have to, I'm learning to spend a little bit more time with the family. Like I'm just jokingly yelling that out to my wife. If you saw this would make more sense. If you saw where I am set up in the house, I'm in this room that's in the middle of the house.
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle of the house. And this is a townhouse, like a 3-floor townhouse. So I'm right in the middle where I work during the day. But because we have the podcast set up and there's cameras and we have like soundproofing on like hanging that I take down, you can't walk you can't get from the bedrooms to the kitchen or the living room
for the time that I'm doing the podcast.
So my wife and my daughter are awesome that they just hang out, just wait and let me finish and do my thing. And they're great at giving me my space. But it's going to cost me a lot today because I'm going to take them to dinner. And
it's our anniversary today too.
Oh, boy. Oh wow! You should have told me.
Right,
We would have done it another day.
So you
no, because I had.
You forgot. Did you forget?
Whisper.
But so did she, so it's fine.
Whisper it in front of 300 million people.
Don't worry. Don't worry. There's no one listening.
Nobody's watching.
Yeah. It's just between us and
just
America.
Kidding.
Let's do our speed round. It's been a while. Okay. You were, I think it was episode 17.
Yeah,
you were on with us. So let's do a speed round. Some of these might be the same. I threw in a couple of other things here and there.
Okay.
But I always like this, and I think that sometimes I get some different answers based on kind of how long you've been doing jiu-jitsu. But if you could go back in time, what would you tell the white belt you?
So I spent some time thinking about this lately. Middle of blue belt was really rough for me because I was always comparing myself to everybody else and trying to be the best person in the room and pissed off when I couldn't be because I'm so competitive and that comes from my background. But I wouldn't say don't worry about the belts because people told me that, and it did not help.
Yeah.
What I would say is the belts don't matter as much as you think, and sometimes the belts lie, but the mats don't lie.
Yeah.
Oh.
So put in the work. Worry about that.
That's a great answer. And as a side, I'll add to that and saying I spoke to somebody about this yesterday. One of my training partners, actually Mauricio, who used to be he's still always welcome on. He just works on the weekends, but he was one of our first roundtable, kind of podcast hosts. I really don't care about right now. I'm at that point where I don't really care. I care so little about the belts right now that we don't really do stripes in the gym anymore. My stripe, because I do wash my belt, fell off, and I was always putting it on. But just basically wash it, and then I knew I was going to put it back on. And I just stopped putting it on because I really just don't care. It doesn't mean, especially after a year, the year of COVID, and people that did train getting belts. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not so worried. I'm just not worried about it. It doesn't. Yes, promotions are great. Yes, stripes are great. Yes, I want to be a black belt one day, but the color of my belt doesn't really change what I do on the mat. It's the time, like you said, the work that you put in, and I'm definitely trying to put in as much more work as I can these days.
I used to feel like I have to be relevant in that room, but now, especially after COVID, I just feel like I have to be in the room.
Yeah.
I like the word relevant out.
Yeah.
I have to be in that.
I think a lot of us are feeling that way.
I think relevance is in action.
Yeah.
Relevance is in the action.
Yeah.
It's not in the presence.
Yeah.
So go-to sub. What's your favorite?
Anything from the back. If I have to pick one, I'd probably say go bow and arrow.
Okay.
But because with the gi, it's very available. But like rear naked, anything like that's where I want to play.
You do a lot of no gi training as well, or you just?
I do. Yeah. I do, and I go to the back. But the one I get my favorite, the one I get the most satisfaction out is just that bow and arrow.
Yeah. Go-to takedown.
Nasty.
You mentioned takedowns before. Go-to takedown.
Uchimata.
Okay.
And I vary. I'll do double legs. I use judo. I use a lot of takedowns, and they're getting better.
Did you say Uchimata?
My favorite.
Uchimata.
Close. Now we're talking Bo's language, right?
Yeah.
Oh, a takedown or takeout? Yeah. I got you.
So this is an old favorite. This was definitely in there. Other than achieving the rank of black belt, what is your ultimate goal in jiu-jitsu?
That my son can learn by watching.
And you're not just talking about jiu-jitsu. You're talking about
learning about life by watching what I'm doing with jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
The work, the hard work, the perseverance.
Principles.
Commitment, principles, those things. Because kids watch, and I can't think of a better activity to show them.
How awesome would it be to see that thumbs up in 5 years, in 10 years from the side of the mat from your son, Or, hey, maybe flip it around and you're the one.
And
I was just going to say, it's him doing the thumbs up to his son.
I would love that, but I don't want to put that expectation on him.
Yeah.
The only thing I control is my conduct and what he gets to view.
Yeah.
And that's important.
Yeah. I think the Gracies talk about it when they were kid. Henner and Hedon talk about how their dad used to play jiu-jitsu with them. They weren't really forced to do it. It was like it had to be fun or they weren't going to do it.
Right, and I believe that about kids.
For any of us that would love to have kids or family members do it, it's got to be fun.
Yeah.
Going back before, you said, I think when I asked you about, or you mentioned bringing people on, like you never really had anybody that stayed. I've brought one person, and it was my wife's friend, a male friend of hers, to one class, and it just wasn't for him.
Yeah.
Where I've gotten people to take their kids to jiu-jitsu, but it's never been like recruiting them to go to my gym. And it's more often than not, it's them asking me like, hey, you do martial arts, right? What would you suggest? Where should I go? And just telling them, look, I think that you should do jiu-jitsu, and this is why. Obviously biased. And then I almost always tell them, and my coach will kill me for this, is most of the time it's been because they're out of their area. If they're in my area, I am inviting them to my gym. But outside of my area, I say, make sure you find a school with a good kids program. A good, really good kids program, meaning lots of kids. If there's lots of kids, it's usually going to be better. And I love the Gracie Bullyproof program. So I usually tell them to try to find one. There aren't a lot here in South Florida that actually are certified to actually teach it. But those are usually kind of my tips, because I think that it's so important for them to kind of learn. You talk about it's not just the physical aspects, but they learn to use their voice. They learn how to call a teacher, tell somebody to stop, use their hands before they're attacking or, trying to defend using jiu-jitsu. So I think that that's really great. Okay. What's the craziest thing that's happened to you? Remember now, I might have asked some of these questions before, but not everybody's heard the last episode. So if your answers are the same, that's okay. If they're the same as last time. What's the craziest thing that's happened to you on the mats, whether it's competing or just training in the gym?
Oh, I don't remember what I said last time. I got a small number to pick from. I probably picked the same one. It was probably winning No-Gi Worlds at Blue Belt, because I didn't think I belonged there. I just went because my team was going. I was like, I've done nothing that shows that I belong in this room, in this arena. And then I like to write sometimes, so I wrote a thing called the naysayer, and it's about that voice inside of us that tells us.
I remember you mentioned that last episode.
So and I still stands to this day. It's because that's even with the foundation, our hashtag is prove them wrong. Like, you got all kinds of people that you can prove wrong, but the most important one is that voice.
Yeah,
prove that one wrong.
Yeah.
So my first match out there, Gordon Ryan's next to me. I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah, your greatest match.
And I ended up making it through. Yeah, I make it through, my bracket and win, and that was the most unexpected. I did not expect an outcome like that, and it means everything and it means nothing. This is the part we said, right, where it's I'm a world champion. I'm also I was the best of the blue belt small old guys that happened to show up that day.
Yeah,
it means everything. It means nothing.
Yeah,
right?
It's a special category.
Time,
Yeah,
but that was a unique experience. For sure. And, yeah.
What's your biggest regret as it relates to jiu-jitsu?
Not wrestling in high school.
Okay.
Oh.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Because of where I would be now. And this goes back to your question about wrestlers.
Yeah.
Wrestlers understand things that it takes years of jiu-jitsu to get. They just have to modify their game a little bit.
Yeah.
You got to get used to being on your back.
Yeah,
you got to know when that's okay, right?
Yeah.
Those are, I wish I'd wrestled in high school.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Now, I don't remember the answer to this one. Do you wash your belt?
Yeah, because gross.
Thank you.
Ding,
Team
ding,
wash
ding,
your belt.
Ding, ding, ding,
All right. We're going to end this with, do you want to give any shout outs? Do you want to, we did shout out some people earlier, but do you want to give any shout outs, sponsors, events? Anything upcoming that you want to let us know about? This is the time.
I want to say again to Seth at Fight to Win, to Timothy at Fuji tournaments, to Ryan McGuire at Third Coast Grappling, to Marcos Flores at at Grappling Industries, guys, your support is like, we run 8 boxes around the country for events. We started with 1. We're raising tens of thousands of dollars a year as an ambassador network now. Couldn't do that without those people. So it's absolutely worth mentioning those particular promotions, because it's not that they've just let us do things one time. Mm-hmm. It's over and over and over. And not everybody lets us, but those guys have allowed us to be in a position to be successful because of their generosity, because it's money they're losing by not charging us. Mm-hmm. They're letting us do that. And, I think it's what I should, Alan and Joey always deserve a shout out, because of, this is the most important thing I've ever been involved in. And it's because of their vision, because it was their idea, the rest of the board and the ambassadors, for all the hours and the emails that they read that I probably write too many words in. But I also Travis, the president of We Defy, because he trusted me when he took over to take on new roles that he didn't know what would happen, but he let me run with it. And now I get to be a part of this thing that keeps growing. And it's the most awesome professional thing I've ever done, and for sure the most meaningful. Even though, like, flying a fighter was pretty cool, but this is way more important. Like, flying a fighter, that was for me. This is for somebody else.
Well, flying that fighter was for us.
Yeah,
maybe there's that bit of selfishness. Like I said before, there's a little selfishness in doing this because it makes me feel good. Yeah. But isn't it helping so many people? Didn't you do something really good?
I can give
it is, and you. But now, like I said, now I get to see it.
Yeah,
and it means that much more. Yeah. In here,
Here's a little insight from the artist world. There's a difference between being a fine artist and a commercial artist. A fine artist does the work for themselves, and then people just enjoy it.
Yeah.
The commercial artist does work for a customer or a client or an audience. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's completely different. Yeah. When you do something for yourself, it has a whole different...
Yeah. I love it.
Jiu-jitsu's a whole different level of attraction,
Jiu-jitsu's for me.
Yeah.
It's super genuine, too.
The podcast and the foundation, that's a little bit more for others. I guess
still
that's a comparison.
Still the thing. So, you love to talk, man, so...
All right, TJ, listen, I'm going to let you go because we could probably talk for another hour, but I know my wife is hungry.
Sure
my wife is sending me messages, says, I'm hungry, and I told you where we're sitting in the house. So we're gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much for joining us again. I told you, door's always open. You guys got to just let me know sometimes if you want to come on, if you've got something to say, if any of the other, board members or anybody else you think that we should be talking to about We Defy wants to come on. Let's make it happen. We're trying to shoot 3 times a month, so we have this. It was always 2, now it's 3. So we have the availability, and we'd love to keep on spreading the message, man. So,
well, thank you again for all you guys do for us. Congratulations again.
Thank you, man.
So happy to have a team, the team we have, and they have people like you that will give us a mouthpiece. Can't do it without that.
Thank you, man.
We're doing it together.
All right, man. So we'll talk soon. I'll let you know when we're going to launch this before next Friday. Sometime probably middle of the week. I'll shoot you a message and let you know. All right?
Okay, awesome.
All right, thanks, TJ. Thank you, man.
Later, TJ.
Yeah. See you, Bo.
All right. Awesome dude, man. Awesome.
Wow.
Dude. Let's get to our housekeeping, and my wife is going to
I have so much envy for his pilot background.
Yeah, that is pretty awesome.
I want to fly.
All right, so let's do a little housekeeping here, Bo. Guys, stick around. We've got some just again a little bit of housekeeping here. We talked about the foundations. Obviously, go to wedefyfoundation.org if you'd like to donate and support them in their efforts to bring jiu-jitsu to wounded combat veterans specifically, okay? Mm-hmm. Our new foundation, the Jiu Jitsu Dummies Foundation, our new GoFundMe link is in our description here. You can find links to everything that we do on our Instagram at Jiu Jitsu Dummies. You can just click the link in the bio. It'll take you to everything. What we're doing with the foundation is a bit different, right? We are giving scholarships to just amazing people. We should say it that way. We did two scholarships to children, and the next one's going to be to a veteran. We're looking to do something with a veteran and first responders in the near future who are doing really spectacular things in their community, as if it wasn't enough to be a first responder or a veteran, but who are kind of taking it to the next level. I want to hear about those stories of them really, going that extra mile. You can find the Jiu Jitsu Dummies Foundation on Facebook. Just type it all out. Facebook.com/the Jiu Jitsu Dummies Foundation. You can find us on Instagram at the JJD Foundation. Or again, if you go to @Jiu Jitsu Dummies on Instagram, you'll find links to everything. If you donate $50, or for every $50 you donate, okay, you can get an embroidered belt from Flow and Roll, okay, flowandroll.com. So if you donate, we'll get in touch with you. We'll put you together with Sean, and he's going to send you a belt with your name embroidered or whatever you want to say on it. We did one for Sinister BJJ out in Austin, Texas. Said Sinister BJJ. So, cool. It doesn't have to be your name. Check out the podcast store at jiujitsudummies.shop. 15% off with code JJD. Again, as always, we have ranked rash guards, tees, face shields, backpacks, coffee mugs, free shipping on orders over $50. Going forward, Fight Back CBD, I said. Fight Back CBD at Fight Back CBD on Instagram. We are now doing 20%. It was 15. It's now 20% off your CBD order at fightbackcbd.com. Again, with code JJD. You can support the Jiu Jitsu Dummies Foundation on Amazon Smile as well. Just check out our Instagram, find one of the Amazon images, swipe to the left, or just go to @Jiu Jitsu Dummies for instructions on the setup. It's very simple. You're still doing the same thing. You're still shopping on Amazon. You're just changing your settings to actually be able to choose a nonprofit who will receive like 0.05% of your order, of the cost of your order. Nothing changes for your shopping experience.
Huge.
Nothing changes for you, but it donates to the nonprofit of your choice. All righty? All right, guys, that's it for today. Again, I'm Uncle Milty BJJ on Instagram. Bo?
Handy_wisdom.
There you go. Thank you for watching and listening, everybody. We appreciate you guys. Stay safe.
Woohoo! Do, 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 do.